their best to defend an onslaught after a no-rush timer expires. Test out your micro and defend against multiple players in variations of this game mode. Or be part of the masses. Team up with your allies to topple the throne in a glorious victory. AllReasonNoLogic, hosting King of the Hill lobbies, most Sundays. Join our Discord to be part of the action. See you in game, Commanders. Beyond All Reason fans, welcome to King of the Hill by AllReasonNoLogic. Experience 2 or more teams facing off in epic scale warfare, where the Horde gang up on the Kings of the Hill. Kings start off with an economic bonus. They do their best to defend an onslaught after a no-rush timer expires. Test out your micro and defend against multiple.
Hey everyone.
Evening all.
Straight into it. 3 more to join and we'll kick it off.
Hey everybody. Thanks for joining us for King of the Hill. Oh dear. Hello Poppy. Out you go. Off you go. Good girl.
Everyone's coming to play.
Invasion of the puppies today.
Those hounds.
Maybe I should play bots.
I
bots and get the hounds out.
I really miss the hounds. I don't even remember the mode of fire that it was called. It's got the Gauss. That's the one.
I miss Gauss as well.
So
the hound has dropped off the face of the earth as a unit that I use at the moment.
The Gauss was just so good against spam and even against some of the slow air.
Is this a full lobby for us now?
We need one more.
No, 2 more people.
1 or 2.
Oh no, it's 14, not 16.
Yeah.
Math good.
So last week the Kings lost again pretty convincingly, I guess. So we've put another 5% trying to find the bonus on this one. But Throne and Claymore, Throne and Raptor Crater, I feel like we kind of hit the nail on the head.
They were pretty even last week.
Yeah, Throne maybe didn't have quite the experienced players that we usually see, so that's why I feel they lost. But the 65% bonus that they had, I thought was pretty close. And then, yeah, Raptors, that was like a dead heat.
Something to remember if you're not up to date with the patches is that they recently removed the reclaim hack. So that basically means that you no longer gain a bonus on income based on the bonus that are given to the players. So before, when you reclaimed a 3000 metal lab with a plus 45% bonus, you'd get around about 4,500. Now instead you just get that 3,000, which both is and isn't a lot. It does make a big enough difference though.
Now, is it your tweak that you've applied the one with the lava in this one, or the acid, Tom?
Yes, I believe so.
Is that the 15-minute acid as well?
Yes, I pulled it out the map code stuff
recently.
Yeah.
Actually, that reminds me, I'm going to join us down to the casting couch. All right. We can kick this one off. Let's get a
That's
ring.
full of me now, isn't it? And everything is playing nice.
Oh, Oh, there's that 11. Looks like we are getting pretty good to go.
IDs are all good, so we're just
Alright.
waiting on people to ready up.
Rosie, Waffle Maker, full winter. If you want to play, quickly ready up. Oh, tickets in to get someone in the queue.
Yeah, that's the only thing that's sort of causing issues at the moment. If we had a queue, then I'd be specking people already.
Lots of spectators though.
There is.
There we go. We got Mazza in there. Just Rosie. Rosie, you got. Please don't miss out, Rosie. Come on, Bob. Come on, Bob. Hello, we can add more when the devs are here, but they are not quite here yet. We are, without daylight savings, a little bit earlier than usual, and we're going to kick this one off.
Excellent.
And if anyone listening has control over the official Beyond All Reason that needs a name update, right, I was saying last week was awesome and very close. Claymore, I thought that like 2 of the lanes fell really quickly, like 1 instantly, which meant that those opponents just got to build up a massive eco. So the others didn't fall, I feel, because they just didn't get pressured. Everyone in their very usual positions.
No, not me.
Actually, you're usually above me, yeah.
Hey.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the official stream. We've just gone live on the official. You're joining us for King of the Hill. Title will be updated sooner or later. In the middle we have myself, Tank Tom, Twig, Duffy, and Ollie, which is a very strong, very strong team for the Kings.
I'll be back in a second.
Dogsby, Haslin. Rosie, that's alright. Stay AFK, especially if you're my opponent in my lane. Kratos is back. Managed to actually find a plane to get home.
Yep. The A320 is going down, slowed me down a little bit, but that is a-okay.
Yeah, something Black Death taught me last week is there's a way to stream together if I give you an invite. I don't know if you have the ability to accept Kratos.
I definitely don't.
Combines the chats into one chat from both streams. Nice. That is something we will do when we know
Battle started.
what shenanigans have we got going.
Just people in the chat. Hey. Settle. And then we immediately go into the concentration trying to get all the things happening.
Yes,
You
I
know it.
am used to a slightly different position where I don't have to move to get all my mexes, so I place my buildings outside of my build range, which is not a smart thing to do, so I just had to reposition those ones. Now this is going to be a bit of a different thing for me, because this is my first game of Bar back since since A, my holiday, and B, the changes. So I'm going to almost certainly be a little bit metal starved, I reckon, because I'm going to be trying to get used to the changes to this one. I'm not going to have that 1500 metal I normally rely on.
The thing that I've been finding is you end up staying T1 that little bit longer.
Interesting. I was going to try and end up T1 a little bit shorter to see if that was the
I find I
golden ticket.
often stall out if I rush it.
Yeah.
Well, that could just be me not being great at.
So my plan,
Managing
rather
that.
than going to the 40 win that I normally do, was to go to 30.
Let us know how that goes.
Yes. I will. You'll know about it based on whether or not I die.
Don't do
I
that.
am
That sounds like a
sticking
bad
to
idea.
roughly the usual, but as Tom said, I found that I had to build a few more wind.
What I need is more conversion. Slide it down.
So what is the right amount of wind? I'm at 21 now. How are you guys going?
I am at less than that.
Yeah, I am also at less than that. Get the wind
Metal's
up.
now a problem. We need to convert more. That's what we need to do. I hate being yellow.
Why is that? Oh, you can't tell when your
Just-
converters are running.
Yeah. My peripheral vision's underpowered at the moment.
Friendly commander self-destructed.
Oh, that could be enough.
The whole team is
Yep.
wasting energy.
That happens.
Yes, it does. But that's fine.
Friendly commander self-destructed.
We have a lot of energy at the moment.
We'll float a couple of metal, but that's okay.
Oh shit. I'm overflowing metal too.
Nom 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 nom.
And now I've built my lab in the wrong position. Alright, enemies. Looks like I'm against Psycho Pew Pew.
That is not good for you.
This is not. You have the gamer. You have. Tom has 3 players, I think.
Yeah, I've got 3. At least I'm assuming that's what's going on.
Your team reached Tech 2.
So if he fucked up, it's because he. I don't know. What's he done wrong? Why is he reclaiming that much wind? What don't I know?
I do not know either. All I know is that I'm using the reclaim tech to get my metal up as quickly as possible.
Tech 2 unit ready.
Oh, made a mistake there.
Enemy
Doesn't look
commander
like it's going to be a
destroyed.
big mistake there.
This, then you can go there.
Six minutes, no fusion. This is terrible.
I haven't even started mine. Ugh. Gosh.
Yeah, I haven't started mine either.
More build power. More.
See, that I have plenty of this time around. You're gonna start making me these.
Okay. That's up. Ollie beat me by 1 second,
Is that on the fusion?
apparently. Good stuff, lad. Just don't fall before me before like every week.
The whole team is wasting energy.
Everyone's getting their fusions up, that tells me.
Yep. Yeah, this is going to be tighter than I would have liked.
Yep.
One minute left. Yeah, jeez. I'm gonna have to start reclaiming wind. That is a thing.
Yep.
Oh, I do not have an energy storage. That is not good.
You definitely need one of those.
Yes. Very much so.
$30 seconds of unit production. Might even reclaim
Okay, this
some.
was okay in the end. This was okay in the end. Not great, but okay.
Battle paused.
What's going on?
Oh,
Yeah, we've
whoa,
got
whoa,
people
whoa, whoa.
taking mexes on my side too.
Lava level dropping. Enemy units spotted. Units
vehicles.
under attack. Unit lost.
Oh god.
Tech
Okay,
2
this is a
unit
big T1
detected.
push.
Oh yeah, they get some big ones going these days. Some real big ones. I got Bruzy.
This has worked out.
Alright. Players against me actually did quite alright.
Mm-hmm.
I do not like this.
Sorry, stream. I'm not doing the best at talking, am I?
Yeah, we are. In that, heavily focused on trying to get to doing stuff.
Yes.
But I'm in the back of at least
Radar
one of my
lost.
bases.
You're doing better than me, Team Tom.
I know there's a comm left somewhere, but I'm not going to be too concerned about him at this stage. Oh god, I need to make more stuff.
Enemy commander destroyed.
Oh, sniper shots against me. Don't like that. Don't like that.
It's fine.
This is okay. I am not hugely concerned right at the moment, which is nice. Repeats are going on. I need more build power.
Alright. Position held for now. That's good enough.
Putting the pressure on.
Base
Yes,
under
I'm
attack.
getting ready to do the same.
Oh god, you see here? Fuck, god damn it. When's the commander in the base allowed?
15.
Okay,
Hit
I've got a
pause
commander
if
in my
you-
base now.
Paused. You are overflowing metal.
That's
massively bannable.
yeah. Did we post the rules though?
Yeah, I definitely did.
Yes.
Okay.
I left the comm because I killed everything else and I wasn't overly concerned until he rocked up in the middle of my base. My T2 lab's dead.
So he's going to turn it on hold fire, leave the base, and detonate the comm so he doesn't have one for the rest of the game.
Cool. All right, let's get back into it.
Alright, and if you're listening, don't re-attack
resumed.
Tom for a while. Stop shooting him, Tom, otherwise you might lose.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yes.
if it
Commander
detonates,
under attack.
that's that'll be bad. Okay, that was too soon to place that down.
Enemy commander destroyed. The whole team is wasting energy.
that pulsar feels like it's gone real close.
Oh, great D-guns, pew pew.
Enemy commander destroyed. Enemy
We
commander
have players
destroyed.
that are in the middle of the map, just by the way. Oh, not middle, but
And technically it's allowed.
That pulsar is too close. This one here.
Battle resumed. Battle paused.
People read the rules.
I'm happy for it to be there, it just can't hit the base.
Tom, you're getting a hard time today. Rosie knows
yes,
the
you
rules
are.
too.
Hmm.
Bob. Alright, resuming to destroy it.
Yeah, I don't mind the fact that the pulsar's there, it just can't hit the top of the hill.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can manual
Battle
fire.
resumed. Lava level dropping. Enemy commander destroyed. Base under attack.
It looks like it looks like Duffy's winning my lane for me. Oh no.
Enemy commander destroyed.
Alright, where?
That's potato I'm against. That's why I'm struggling. Oh no, shit. There's a fat boy in my base.
That quick.
I literally just left my base to... what a bad misclick that was, Twig.
Actually,
Oh, you're the one that's down there, aren't you?
Enemy commander destroyed.
that is a victory on my end. Oh, I made
Yeah.
turtles. Why did I
I'm
make
about
turtles?
to, I'm about to come online
Yep.
for other lanes.
I think that's gonna be basically the GG.
Yeah.
Because this is me in the
Alright.
back of...
So,
This base here.
55... So 50 last week was no good.
You were
Oh, it
missing
was-
me. That's the
Yeah,
problem.
potentially. Let's just leave Ollie to see if he gets through himself.
Oh wow, that's a lot of ticks. That's a lot of ticks. That's also a lot of things that are very good against ticks.
Oh wow, that is an upsetting amount of units lost.
Yeah, that is a lot of stuff.
Alright, I'm gonna actually focus on beating my lane now that it's pretty much destroyed.
Wait for me. Oh no, wait, Tank Tom. You. Oh, there you are. Okay, you were next to me. You're in my default spot.
Oh, there's a fusion still alive. Oh, it's invisible. That's why I didn't get it.
Ah, nice. That's clever, actually.
I got one in my base too. I usually build it as my second eco structure.
Yeah, I don't worry about it. If they're in my base, I'm probably dead.
Alright, that is one. Is Ollie gonna make it? And it's Tank Tom. Let's just hang out over here and leave Tank Tom to take on his opponent for a little while.
Enemy commander
Alright, for
destroyed.
stream's sake, I'm just gonna.
I'm just gonna build a heap
Actually,
of
you can take
sprinters.
my stuff.
Messed up because I started building, trying to
Base
eco
under
rather
attack.
than keeping the pressure on,
Commander
and
under
now they have a
attack.
lot of stuff. And it is
Happening
right
alright.
here.
Ah, it's welders.
There you go,
It is
Twig.
welders.
That's there's my stuff.
Oh, I'm getting
Friendly
stuff from the
player
other lane
resigned.
again.
Well, do you want to micro this stuff if I've got your eco?
No, I've resigned so that the audience can actually see what's happening.
I tried to eco and I have messed up. And I've got leaks from your lane coming through. Twig.
Commander under attack. Commander.
Probably
taking
shouldn't
from
be
my
here.
lane.
Yeah.
No, they.
Commander
Nah, that was
destroyed.
your. That was game
That was your
NL.
opponent.
Ah,
You
Yeah.
tried.
Enemy
tried.
commander destroyed.
Okay, Ollie's lanes left. I got sprinters just repeating. So Ollie wants to win with ticks.
Hey Twig, just there's a comm at the bottom of the map. You can see the pings from Duffy.
Okay.
You might want to just send some ticks to deal with that. As it turns out, you can win with ticks, as we're seeing.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
Can
he's
definitely
done
be
alright.
done.
What sort of eco does Ollie have? Ollie has 4
Four
fusion
fusion.
eco.
Don't sound surprised.
8. I'm not surprised. I'm looking at the base and looking at 8
Enemy
tick
commander
production labs.
destroyed.
That's excellent. So this is a bit of a
You are
different
overflowing
strat
metal.
where Ollie's pulled all of his stuff right back. So the enemy can get up here, but then they have to fight a lot more stuff and a lot more condensed. So that was a bit of a king's stomping, but we also did have some. It's yeah.
The whole
We also did
team
have
is
To
some
test out
powerhouses
this,
at
we
the top.
almost have to keep the same players as King each week, just to
Yeah.
get that consistency with
We
working out the
did
bonuses.
get out fairly hard. At least I
Alright,
know I
right.
got out for some early damage.
Nightmares
Also,
dragged us
just,
into EU8, so we'll have a bit of a better server now.
I do want to point out that with the reclaim stuff off, with the reclaim bonus no longer being a thing, all of the king's economies were basically bang on the same,
Hmm.
which is kind of which is actually something that I'm really excited about. That's really good. And then, as you can see, I just was dominant and got ahead of you guys because I'm awesome at the 12-minute mark.
Sure. That's all.
No, I just got the enemy T1 incised me, so I got a very, very large amount of metal, so I went straight into an Aphis.
Fair.
I reckon we'll take that back down to 50 next week, depending on who's in the middle.
But it does look like we're going to be remaking that lobby under EU8, it looks like, thanks to Nightmare for setting that up for us. A little bit more stable once we bump it out to a few more people. No, we're not going to be on Z remake, even though I would love to do a Z remake King of the Hill. It would all be T1.
You guys
It's
can't
got a
boss me, can
throne,
you?
isn't it?
I think Throne,
Yeah.
We have Throne is reasonably good for basically 20 players through 20 through to 50 players or thereabouts.
Nightmare if you could give Tom a boss and then he can set up the game. Yeah, or mega boss him like Mazza just tried to do. I don't know why that's an invalid command. Bar must be broken.
But what if I do it?
Oh, that'll work.
Yes, can Praetor boss people?
Looks like I can. There's no invalid command for mega bossing Tom.
Doesn't give me anything that I can see though.
Yeah, Psycho Pip is correct. Twig needs to become a branch to be able to boss people.
He has to become a trunk.
Chrono's a boss at least.
Yeah, it looks like
I
he's
saw a
setting
funny
it up.
clip
all the bits.
that came out of TwitchCon, and it was a VTuber talking about how her VTuber model has twig legs, and I just couldn't stop laughing because the way that she was making it sound, it just sounded like she was talking about Twig. It was a good time.
Oh, I can't add bonuses, can I?
Yeah, Nightmare, you there? Told you
Madza,
bonuses,
I'm
though.
pretty sure that it's just twig, branch, trunk, and then if you use a mega evolution on him, then he becomes tree.
What do we want to do for these ones?
It's 65 last week. We'll try it because I just did a typo there. There you go. You guys got the boss now.
So something interesting to just while we're setting this one up and for the lobby's sake, the 65 bonus, like the bonus, is an interesting one to get right at the moment, and we're sort of testing things out. The main reason being is that if it's too high, the scaling late game for the Kings is insane, regardless of whether the reclaim was there or not, because it's once you start a big economy rolling, it rolls. And with that plus 65%, it's a very, very big economy. But if it's too low, then the Kings are going to be unable to set up in base. So we'll see how this one runs, just based on how many players we go. Because Twig, you were saying last week it was reasonably even.
I think
what was
I could be.
How many players
Sorry.
were they against in Throne?
That was a good question, actually. I
Because
can
that
check.
makes a big difference.
Let's quickly check the replays here on this screen. Was
one of the other things to remember is that they've also changed the unit cap.
64 versus 7 last week. 64 versus 7. So there
And
was
it's
quite a
15
few.
versus 8, 15 versus 7 at the moment. So I think that the
Yeah.
plus 65% might end up being a little overkill.
Yeah, we'll have to give this one a few minutes.
With this
to
many
get more people in here.
players, I think it's going to be a bit overtuned. I'm inclined to drop it down to, say, 50,
20?
the same as the last map, and
I reckon we should put Twig up there on his own with a plus 20 and see what happens.
it'll be nice. We'll give him at least a 25.
You know what? I'm being generous. 33.
Just try something because Nightmare's online. I'm going to try the thing that I did with with Black Death last week and try the stream together. Let's see if this works.
But I think we're definitely going to be overtuned for the number of kings that we've got at the moment.
Correct. With this with the low number of people, it might even be worth doing the 4 versus X number of players. I agree.
We did the welcome message for this one, didn't we? Yep, that's good.
Alright, so we're going to be a little bit cutthroat on this one, just because with 4 kings it's very, very important that they all get the bonuses, and they're all particularly good at them. So we'll leave Mazza, Small, and Ollie down there, and I think the Fringe as well.
Yep, I'll move the other couple up then. Let me take off.
And I'll pull the bonuses off of people.
At Nightmare, I've just sent an invite for that stream together.
And then I reckon we kick this one off.
Yep, we should be good to go.
Let's just post those rules, and then let's jump on in.
The tremors are on, I assume. Of course, that would be. Chrono did this. Chrono and Tom know what they're doing. It's me. I'm the person that needs to be asked. I am the person that needs to be asked if things have been done right.
Yeah, quick.
All right, let's force start this one before it gets too big and we have to adjust it all over again.
Just waiting our last player to ready up, and then we'll go. All
right, Tom, it's all on you. There we go. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are underway.
Shit.
Who
Oh,
double
something went
started?
wrong.
We might
Somebody
have had
stuffed up.
Battle
the
started.
double up of the
Battle
force
ended.
starts.
Chrono and Tank Tom force started the game.
Yeah. Take 2.
Take 2, indeed.
Oh, Nightmare, if you're wondering, it has to be Chrome or Mozilla if you want to do the stream together.
Okay. Now it should be good.
Alrighty. Oh, that's interesting.
What's
Oh,
that?
on the outside too?
The ramps on the outside are gone.
This one's for Chrono's done a
Smaller
one with
maps.
dirt on the outside and one with
Yeah.
lava that stays on the outside, so that it forces all the peasants to be on that first ring. Makes a bit of a tighter game for the less players.
Interesting. My question is, are there still traversable paths?
Yes,
Yes.
there is.
So we're looking for anywhere where there's no red around the map. For those traversable areas. So we're seeing red all the way along, right there, there's one of those paths. And potentially there. There's a few little spots where you might be able to break in and break out. We'll see if those come into play during the game. And I'll turn off that mode so that you're not getting a technicolored wild scape like in my mind.
I've got 228s. looks like we're pretty much ready to get going. Everyone has placed. I reckon we could probably look at doing a forced start then, can't we?
Battle started.
Good day and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to King of the Hill on Throne. That's right, we're back to the OG map, and we're back to the OG positions with 4 in the middle. We're seeing Small, Ollie, Mazza, and the Fringe going up against what looks to be 31 players around the outside. You'll notice some slight changes to the maps. This one is tweaked to have no outside of the map. Even when the lava drops, the outside of the map will remain unobtainable. So this is a true King of the Hill with a donut of lava in between. So thank you for that additional tweak, Chrono. Jumping into what is going on, so King of the Hill, we have a plus 65% bonus for those 4 players in the middle. That's going to help them eco like mad. If they build any defensive structures before 7 minutes, that is a wasted potential. You need to be making sure that you get yourself all the way up to that Fusion plus economy, and considering that you're going to have access to 6 mexes each, and hopefully feeding the middle player to help them get a little bit of a boost at the start so they can scale like crazy and help push out. We should see some good damage, but some things to bear in mind. The peasants, they are not going to be idle around the outside. These areas with the geos tend to become absolute places of working together, and you can see Duffy on the bottom right hand side working to get that geo up nice and early. Potentially going to have some help from, well, it does have some help from Psycho, potentially the Gamer, Lingeron, and Grumpiness to try and get this one up nice and fast. So the peasants do have to work together to try and match that economy. Couple of little tweaks. There won't be any of the missile artillery units up until T3. It is a little bit too oppressive for the players if you can just shell them right at that 10-minute mark, unless you've really worked together to get that T3 eco running. But that does mean, regardless, you do need to try and keep yourself a little bit safe. We highly recommend building your APHIS and your explodable things sort of over here, or even better, further in if you can, because there are massive threats in the form of spiders, and in the later game some other units that can shell up there, particularly the catapults. Some really good catapult tech. Just target fire one of these top bits of cliff just here, and your missiles will, and a bunch of your missiles will go over and fire well beyond their range. Just a little bit of fun right there. A couple of other things. We definitely do not allow structures to be used offensively. That makes the game run quite a lot smoother, and it gives a bit of a unit focused. We also have air switched off. Joining me in the casting couch, even though I haven't let them get a single word in edgewise, we do have Twig that is attempting to evolve into Branch, and we also have Tank Tom, who are both of whom previously won the Claymore match with myself.
Yeah, I'm not too fussed with not getting a word in. I'm a little bit hangover. Greek wedding last night, so I'm doing Uzo shots off of the floor with no hands.
That's always a good fun one.
Commander, self-destructed.
Bit seedy today, but still excited to see what these guys have in store for us. We've got Mazza, Small, the Fringe, and Ollie, all with numerous experiences on the top of the hill. We've seen these guys up here dozens of times, so they're not to be messed with. They know what they're doing. But seeing Duffy's corner getting up that T2 before the T2's up in the middle is always scary.
I do like seeing just the one T2 unit for each of the sort of areas of the map. Like just the one T2 lab going down and being shared across.
That's what you want to see. You want to see one T2 lab punching out as many constructors as possible, and having all the commanders come and help build these as well. Like you can potentially get 4 or 5 commanders around those T2 labs punching these out.
Commander self-destructed.
This really is going to be a scary time for the Kings, because all corners have successfully co-opted eco. I don't think I've seen that to date yet.
Not quite all of them. The top left is not the one between Chronographer and Maxi. Apart from that, you are right. Everywhere else, and the far right as well. So
okay,
it's going to be
not quite
5.
as impossible.
Commander,
I was mostly
self-destructed.
looking for those T2 labs or the outlines of T2 labs and
Hey,
basing it off of that.
I've not seen 5 of them up at that time, so still probably the worst case scenario for the Kings that we've seen in a while. But they're all getting their T2 up or already have it up as well. So
Yeah, T2 at around 5 minutes is typically where you start to see them coming up.
the key here for the Kings is to get down onto that second ramp, go onto that, I like to call it the mezzanine layer, and that actually doesn't make sense because mezzanines are up. This is down. This one's lower than both levels. Anywho, get down
They
there
can
and
hold no
hold
man's
it.
land.
If you can hold that, yeah, it stops the T3, the catapults, and the vanguards doing their thing. It also stops some of those missile trucks doing their thing as well, which we've turned off, so they won't do that anyway.
It's like a few variations of a similar build for a lot of these players. The only one wildly stretching their legs is the Fringe, who is going for those early defenses that always really cripples your eco if you get them too early. Also building multiples of those advanced T2 constructors. The fastest way to get your T2 down is actually to tap all 3 and then reclaim the T2 constructor. That gives you the metal to get the first one up, which helps you get the second one up, which helps you get the third one up. Just pop a T1 constructor on each of the 2 which are not being built on the wait command, and they do not decay. So that's how you maximize putting metal into those ones as quickly as possible.
Also, tip here on the right, you can see these pulsars lined up there in the queue. Don't build them right next to each other, because similar to the Starlight, when they explode, they actually do quite a bit of damage to each other. You want to put a bit of a space in between them.
But as a massive line, they are an incredibly powerful defense.
Oh yeah.
An expensive defense, though. At 3,500 each, this wall costs as much as 3 APHIS, 4 APHIS.
Yeah,
That really
so
puts it into perspective just how expensive that is.
Yeah, and I can tell you, this is actually not going to do very well against T1 spam. So you get the first assault, you're going to want beamers, twin guards, pop-ups, you want the dragon's claws, dragon's maws, whatever they're called. Don't do this, do that later. Do that when you hear T3 detected. You don't need it before then.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing you consider between 15-20 minutes, but not that 10.
You see the first fusions starting to come down, and about 50% built for the Kings. One of the things you'll notice is that the economy difference for the Kings and the Peasants, it started at about 300% in favor of the Peasants. It's now bouncing between 150 and 250%, which means the Kings are closing that gap just because of that plus 65% bonus. The Peasants have got all of their economy, with the exception of Duffy, who's just got their APHIS down. So holy.
Speaking of APHIS, Ollie, into an APHIS, so greedy. Only 2 minutes left. Wants to get an APHIS down. Doesn't have the build power to get that up, and all the defenses that they need to get up.
That APHIS isn't going to be done.
And build units. So let's have a quick chat about what the roles are when there's only 4 Kings at the top of the hill. Pretty much Ollie, Mazza, and the Fringe need to adopt that defensive and unit production role. That means putting down less eco and putting more into defenses and units. And honestly, units are defenses. You can just see here, being able to build this APHIS, it's still got 1 minute and 6. That means that it's going to get up with about 20 seconds left, without enough conversion to even realize the metal that it's going to be worth. At the same time, having to put down defenses, so it's a massive overcommitment in my opinion. But
I'm not going to lie, I'd risk it. I'd risk it for the biscuit because the Kings are going to need the economy.
Shouldn't it be Mazza doing it?
It should be Mazza doing it.
Should probably be small.
I mean small.
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 It should be small doing it, but
yeah.
You need to take the risk. And one of the things that you have to consider is that there's a ton of energy overflow right now. More build power, eat the wind, eat the factory to get that up faster. If you can actually get it up quickly, it's 100% worth it, but it is definitely a scary thing. I do like that there are these butlers and the advanced constructor and the com getting the converters down already. There's plenty of energy and plenty of metal to do that, so that's at least going to cut down on some of the realization time. But this is a scary thing to see. However,
the fact is, if they don't attack, it pays off.
Exactly.
10 times out of 10 it pays off if they don't attack you.
And I think he's in the
So-
right position to do it, because that's often one of the least pushed sides.
Yeah. I mean, look at Maz's lane. 150 to 200 metal income per second, depending on the reclaim. Yeah, it's at 220 actually right now. Sorry, 150 again. But building heaps of units, got fiends and pawns coming out, got quite a few defenses, putting persecutors up. It's a well-defended lane. Very interesting choice with the solars around the outside. That's probably the one weakness in this base. There's nothing to stop any spiders coming over the hill.
Funny thing about the solars, the corpse of a solar stops the spiders from walking through.
That is a great use of walls.
Fantastic idea. I like
Now
what's
we've
happening
hit
on the
that
right.
10
A single
minute
tick,
mark.
just scoping out what's around. Look, this tick is going to get in on the right. There's one tick.
Oh dear. Thankfully there's a grunt that might... Nope, it's not going to be cleaned up. But we're not going to focus on that for the moment, because it could be quite easily reclaimed so long as... there we go, it has been reclaimed. But this is a problem.
This is a lot
This
of
is a big
centurions.
This is almost 100 centurions.
That is enough to punch
Yeah.
through almost any defense at this stage.
78 centurions against a lot of T1.
I'm not going to
quite a
lie,
few
I don't
twin
even
guards.
think my defenses would hold against this in the 7.
They would
when we
You know what
do
needs to
the
go in
roller
there?
game.
A commander needs to be invisible, which is
Oh
currently
yeah.
not. And
Look,
oh, no,
just a
he's not gonna
com
be
bomb in the
invisible.
middle of that in general.
It's not invisible. Get it invisible,
Get those
Mazza.
units
What
in
are
there
you doing?
supporting.
And just walk it straight into the middle and detonate it, get that extra explosion, and that will stop it, and then that'll be a huge.
His defenses have
reduction.
done a reasonable job of slowing these somewhat. They're not going to stop them by any means, but
Actually, they've
thinned them
shut
out
down
pretty
this push
well.
quite well.
Small needs
It's
to come online pretty quick
bought
as
enough
well, 'cause they're gonna
time.
get units in the back line.
77
Commander
down to
destroyed.
18, but the gates are open, unfortunately, and while the persecutors would be good in about 30 seconds, they are not what's needed right now, and that's almost certainly going to be Mazza going down.
Yeah, and that's going to be rough to get.
Oof,
Oh,
and
that
small.
damage in the
Well.
middle is going to hurt the Kings.
Unfortunately for the
Yeah.
Kings, this is just a little bit of an overwhelming
They
amount of
need to be able
offense.
to cut off this line, making it into Maz's base. He's probably still
That's where
going
the
to
welders
lose the
actually need
base.
to go. The welders need to close this off.
Yeah,
Yeah, and this is where you need to have a couple T1 defenses in every single base, just for these leaks. The pawns getting in, you just don't want that. Having these Jags over here, small, sending them down, that's quite a nice touch. That's turns these units around. They know they're not going to get in, but there is a mammoth coming over the hill
There is
now.
a mammoth, and Jags and mammoths are not something that you want to have fighting if you
Commander
own the Jags.
self-destructed.
So, oh no, and then Small's gone into the Starlights, which, whilst they'll help deal with the mammoth, they can only do that if they can see the mammoth and if they're not being assaulted by those T1 units. So unfortunately, the Starlights just not the pick for this match, and it does look like that that choice is going to result in potentially that fusion going down, which should trigger a chain reaction. The pawns have found it. They're actually going around heading for the build power, which I kind of agree with. Because if with the build power completely gone, these will go down nice and quick. But
And there's
focusing
no
the
way
wrong
to
one
rebuild
right here,
them
they need
again.
to attack that 1-2%. There we go. And that is the middle player down. The Kings have lost the eco player on the top of the hill, and now we're getting a big assault on the right hand side too, though this one looks like it will be better defended, just because there are less units. Still plenty to come through. Those pit bulls again, not the choice against the T1 defenses. If only those units had decided to keep running instead of walking back into range.
Beam is doing a lot better. Now, what Small needs to do to get back in this is turn everything off apart from resbots. Stop building the construction turrets. And
What I would love
just
to
build
see
resbots.
is Ollie giving one of those APHIS to Small to get him back up and running.
Even the fusion. Like,
Yeah, just the
he's,
fusion.
he's overflowing. He only
There's
needs
no
the
point in
fusion.
giving the APHIS until there's build power, and there is no build power. And the overflow is taking care of a lot of it, so maybe even just a storage would be enough here.
True. And energy storage is needed. What's not needed is continuous building of build power. Small needs to just turn that off. It's just only going to further store energy. Build power, one of the biggest drainers of energy. Just building the build power, that is.
Because the cost of a construction turret is 3,200 energy, and it has a reasonably short build time and a low metal amount, which means that it absolutely drains your energy like crazy.
I think a little bit more pork's needed on the south here from the likes of Mazza. So just send these twitches around and get these up. The persecutors are doing good, but they're not doing great against
They
the
only
small
do
stuff.
well against the big things. Things like the mammoths, they wiped out
Commander
really well.
destroyed.
The big chunky units, or the small units, sorry, running through, they just get through between the shots.
I tell you, these kings are really under the pump. They're doing well to hold, but what's happening on the bottom right of the screen is a bit frightening.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, the peasants are up to 1,300 income versus the 400 at best from the kings when reclaim is taken into consideration. They're being sieged right now on 2 out of the 3 sides, and the third side has a nice holding pattern that's just waiting to build up units to push in. The kings are in big trouble.
Yeah, the fact that they basically lost 2 kings out of their 4 right out of the gate makes a huge difference.
Yeah,
And
I
this
want
is
to keep
why going the risky strats is sometimes particularly important, because right now, without Ollie running the without Ollie powering the show, then the kings would have already been out of this one. And
Yes
one of the
and
things
no.
that he needs to do is reclaim that T2 lab and go into units right now.
If he hadn't gone for the risky strat, there would have been more units to potentially hold the Centurion push, so it's always that double-edged sword.
The thing is, he had enough units to hold his half of the Centurion push, and I'd think that, and if without the income of the Aphis, they would have been overwhelmed.
Let's check out
because
the
they
bottom
only
left here
survived through
against Ollie's
massive
base.
pushing.
Focusing on here, some shenanigans going on. We're not going to say it on the stream just in case it's being listened. This is very interesting. This is why it is so important to build a radar.
How did that even get up there?
No radar.
Commander destroyed.
That's 9,000 metal gone. No radar from the kings in that vicinity.
And that's what happens when you lose one of those entrances. It is very easy for something to sneak its way up there, because even if you do see it, it can walk back out of range and keep its invisibility, so long as it didn't get shot too much on the way in. It does require a lot of attention, and that is going to be I'm not going to say that's the nail in the coffin for the kings, but it's pretty close to, because that T3 would have been a potential spot to push out and try and reclaim some of the momentum, but without it, the kings are in big trouble. The defenses in the top half of the map are somewhat down. Units are starting to spill in. There's nothing other than a couple of beamers to defend.
Oh, there's
That
shins on the
top
top
right
right and a
side has
catapult.
T3.
The Newt clan is formidable. And there goes the build power.
Dear. Yep, the Shiva is an incredibly cheap arbiter, essentially, in King of the Hill, because it does have that long-range missile, so it is your cheapest
now looking
way
at
of
the
getting
fridges,
long-range artillery.
The fridges base. Even though radars do detect these now, it's
In
a
the
case
middle.
of yeah, the towers are not very accurate. They're going to be shooting and missing, so if you keep those commanders strafing in a straight line, they're going to shoot right behind them, and this is nasty.
Small's
just as he's coming
base
back
is
online.
about to go
Commander
boom.
destroyed.
There we go.
Battle pause.
We've had a pause. Too much going on.
Someone is EMP missiling, so just remember, do not use structures offensively. So that does include things like the EMP.
Do we know where that one's coming from? We might
Can't
have
see
to
any
just do it.
Thors, so it's definitely
click on
a
that.
static somewhere.
Yeah, where is it coming? Okay, there they are.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Who's this player? This is Aurelium. Sorry, mate. You gotta go. Gotta read the rules in these games. You'll be able to rejoin in 15 minutes. All right, that player is gone. If someone can take that base and they can detonate those EMP launchers. Rules are pasted
Battle
every game.
resumed. Battle paused.
All right, Duffy's taken. He's taken control. We can resume the game now, guys. He'll
Yep.
be able to turn them off.
And for those asking about not being clear, in the welcome message it says no structures, including Juno, that can attack anyone's
Battle
base.
resumed.
They're
Commander
just going to get
destroyed.
control deed, I believe, or reclaimed. Not that it's going to make a difference to this game, but definitely
No.
Ollie's base is the one that was mostly holding this all together, and having those fusions go down, it's just, yeah, that turns off the energy for all that time. But they are coming back online now, and you can see how much that powers the entire team's energy. I think he's control deed those in in protest.
The game is essentially over. There is very little chance for the Kings to come back online when the economy difference was before the destruction, sitting at around about 1,000% in favor of about 500% in favor of the peasants.
The peasants did a good job with that early aggression, hitting them hard at that 10-minute mark to make the most of any potential weaknesses in those defenses.
And this is why we talk about aggression being so powerful for the peasants. If you do get aggressive, the Kings just cannot scale. You can see the only player that did scale was the player that took a massive risk at the start. Everyone else was stuck on full unit production the entire rest of the game.
Yeah, so I still think that the bonus was roughly correct. It was just very unfortunate we had such experienced players attacking with all these Centurions. And furthermore, not many units out anywhere near the 10-minute mark for the Kings. If you've got the units to defend, you can defend. If you don't have the units to defend, much harder to defend.
Yeah, once you start falling, getting back into the scaling is rough. If you can hold off that initial
it only
push.
takes one push to kill the Kings. It takes wiping over half the map to kill the peasants.
Yeah.
Good plays out of Ollie on that one. But unfortunately, King's going down quite quickly. It was exciting. And
just having a quick look at the graphs over here, one of the peasants was actually the highest eco with the exception of Ollie. One of the things that the Kings need to do is they all need to be, like we saw in that Claymore game, riding that top end of the graph. So even though Ollie went into the double APHIS, even without that, we see the rest of the Kings just trailing behind at that 10-minute mark by a reasonably considerable gap. And that's one of the areas where build order is absolutely key. Trying to get that additional couple thousand metal. The earlier you get that few thousand metal, the faster you scale, the more metal you have. Just looking at the graph, it looks like it was about a 10,000 metal difference at 10 minutes between some of the Kings.
Yeah, that's huge. Okay.
On to the next one.
Looks like the lobby has increased in size a little bit, so I reckon that we might be up for a 7 versus the world on Throne before we swap over to Raptor Crater.
So if we want to see 7 more, there's plenty of people that have jumped down there to test out as a king. Let's go with some names that we don't see very often, and we're going to go 66% bonus. I'll start assigning. I'll pick them. Ones I don't recognize. Voting them. Mr. Note. Later Dan. If you want to start applying those, Tom. And then we'll jump up to some higher players. We'll go Tiny Terror. So that's 4, is it? And we'll go Potato.
I missed who your first couple were that you said.
The 2 underneath Ladderden. So
Yeah.
Vot and Mr. Not. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need 2 more. Those players that were previously a king, just jump yourselves back up there. It's team 1. Okay, who else have we got there? We'll go with Platinum Blonde. ORAT. I'll assign ORATs. And we'll do Rosie for the last one.
All of the IDs.
Okay, I'll just make a note here. So Kakado, Maxi, and Platinum Blonde, you'll get in for the next game.
I am going to rely on you for keeping track of that.
I'll make a quick note there.
Cool.
If Rosie is with Coke and Plat, they can jump out and jump back in next game.
So that means we need one more king, doesn't it?
Yeah, one more. So that means Maxi, was it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yep, that's Maxi back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. All right, Rosie, Platinum, and Kakado next game.
That's 7.
We do have a reasonable amount of peasants. Can we make sure we got the dirt version on?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Do we want to bump the bonus up a tad as well to 70? I'm thinking with this amount of players. We got Mir, Cookies in there, Grumps in there.
We can do that if you want. I'll start at the top.
All right, I'll go to the bottom. So it's 5% more than last game.
Sorry,
Oh, did you accidentally spec someone?
Yeah, that was Lododan, I think.
All right, yeah. Ladder down. Jump back in, mate.
Yeah.
There we go. You got the bonus on that one.
Yep.
All right. Forgive us, people. We'll just do our best here. Best we can. And the little sleep we get. Now, Nightmare, I wonder if you figured out the stream together thing. Hey, William, just saw your comments in there. We clearly post the rules, and also at the start of the game, it's in the rules, no offensive structures. We talk about it every week as well. You only get a 15-minute ban, so you're back in for the next one.
And the reason they're in is because they work rather well for being able to stop armies in their tracks, rather than shelling bases and disabling economies.
Yeah, we've been testing this for over a year now. They definitely just eliminate the kings. And you only get a 15-minute ban.
Whenever you join the lobby, the welcome message should pop up, which has all the rules in them.
AllReasonNoLogic.
Alrighty. Looks like we're almost good to go on this one.
I'm just going to post the rules in there again.
Good idea.
Battle started.
G'day everyone, welcome back to King of the Hill. We have 7 kings donning the top of the hill in the middle of the lava on Throne. Throne, which has been modified. There is no water around the outside of the map. It has been dried up. It's looking barren, kind of like the Australian outback. Just a whole lot of nothing. And the kings up against a lot of peasants. There are 53 of them. And we're going to see a lot of commie ecos around the outside. The kings, though, have a 70% bonus, upping that by 5% more than last week's games, where the kings fell. So we're just trying to find that sweet spot, but really it just comes down to the players. We've got Potato, Maxi, Vot, I'm going to shorten your names. We've got Mr. Notgate, Tiny Terror, Ladder Dan, and Orat. The roles of these 3 players around the sides here, they need to defend at that 10-minute mark when you get a bunch of spam coming through. These 3 players here in the wings, you want to see units out of them, but they're going to have to also defend against any sort of spiders coming up over these hills. So make sure at about the 8 or 9 minute mark, you've got those labs on repeat for building units so that you can go down and try and take the area that is currently lava. That'll dry up, and you want to make sure that you gain that ground so that you are not pushed by any sort of units that have that long trajectory that can do damage to eco. Tiny Terror in the middle, just greed. Get that eco up. You want to get T3 before the peasants do. And based on the commie ecos that we see, like these down here, where we've got the Geo already up at 1 minute and 40 seconds or something, and then I'm sure we're about to see a T2 lab go down very shortly. Yeah,
that's
there you
disgusting.
go. That T2 lab's going to be up in 30 seconds once metal gets
5
fed through
build
this
turrets and 5 builders working on it. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy.
Not too dissimilar over to the
Commander,
left here. We've
self-destructed.
just got less build turrets. Yeah, really nicely. Rosie also over on the
Commander,
left-hand side,
self-destructed.
punching this one out as well. Geo's up, T2 Labs going down out of Kakado. They're working together. And then we've got Chronographer up here working with a couple others, getting that Geo up there. Maybe a little bit further behind there, less players. The Fridge up north. And then my favorite corner of the New Clan. These guys are just fun to play with. They'll just pest you like absolute shits.
All right, so
we're gonna have a
let's.
T2 lab.
The Kings have some really stiff competition this time round, with all of those eco positions going on. So let's talk about what needs to happen for the Kings to actually win this one. So
Commander,
there's a couple of things that you
self-destructed.
have to bear in mind as the Kings. Around the outside of your base, you are under threat from things like spiders, in particular, at the early game. Later on, you're at threat from things like artillery. That means plan your base build out so that this sort of area here is your slot for building APHIS. It's as protected as you can get, and that's what you've got to do. These players around the outside basically need to work completely self-sufficient. They have to make sure, each player on the wing needs to make sure they're getting a decent enough economy up that they can apply pressure and that they can keep themselves alive. If they do go greedy, sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't, but the player in the middle, that's the player who goes greedy. This player's responsibility is to get their mexes, is to get themselves as deep as they can into the eco, and then support wherever they're needed, potentially push out if that is appropriate. They also need to work together with the 3 players around the at the entrances. These players are going to be entirely reliant on that middle player for a T2 constructor, because you're all going to feed that middle player to get them exactly what they need to try and get that economy rolling. So essentially a level of the co-oping in at the middle of the map. But you're a little bit spread out, so build power is the limiting factor in most situations. Around on each of these wings, you want to work to get your eco till about the 7-minute mark, and then you want to defend. How you do that is entirely up to you. Sometimes a bit of pork is good, because pork tends to trade more cost effectively than units do, if you build it right. But if you do go the units route, it means that you can push out or defend somewhere else if need be. And that's the general status of the game for the players up the top. You have to find that right balance of eco and that right balance of defense. One of the things that we don't recommend is building very early defenses. For example, the top left entrance for the Kings. These defenses are up with quite a long time to go. We're only at 5 minutes in. All of this metal could have been spent on eco that would have paid itself off over the course of the next few minutes, which then could be reinvested into building those defenses. Still, if they hold, and that is good enough.
But
After
if you
last
hold,
game, we need to see a lot of defenses, because there were nearly 100 Centurions marching up in 10 minutes.
Gotta say with this entrance though, holding's one thing, but to win a game you need to leave your base, and it doesn't look like you're getting out of this side very easily.
That is-
not
that
with
is
anything
rock
chunky.
path.
Or in saying that, chunky things to just walk on through and make their own holes.
This base is also incredibly vulnerable to things like a single
Commander,
Sheldon,
self-destructed.
or a group of Mausers, or anything along those lines. Something to bear in mind: T2 missile artillery is turned off. That means that you have to get to T3 if you want to start shelling the bases from the outside. That is done specifically to give the Kings a fighting chance, because Arbiters right up against these cliff can annihilate a King. At 10 minutes. We've seen it before, and that is why it has been disabled.
Yeah. Alright, so over in the Australian desert out the back here, this is dangerous for the Kings. If these guys here get left to do whatever they want, I think for about 20 minutes you'll start seeing APHISs come up in a big number. And then when they get converted into units, that's when the Kings almost can never come back from these games. So the Kings are on a time crunch. So yes, initial push from the peasants. Kings need to defend hard against that. Get some res bots, reclaim that metal, and then eco a little bit, but make sure you're constantly pushing out. If you're just defending the whole time, these outside players around the edge of the map, they're just going to have too much to come at your way, and you're not going to be able to defend for too long.
So talking a little bit about the economy, how is it possible that 7 players can beat the 53 around the outside? When you think about it, each of these 7 players have 165% economy. That means that it's realistically 5,300% economy versus 1,190%. One of the things that doesn't take into consideration is that it is exponential scaling. So the kings in theory can get to their economies faster, and their economies produce more. So for example, an APHIS does not produce 40 metal with 4 converters. At a 70% bonus, an APHIS can power 7 converters, and each converter is producing 17 metal instead of the 10, which means that you're getting close to 150 metal out of an APHIS, which means that the explosion that the kings get once they hit that APHIS territory is absolutely insane, as compared to the rest of the map that have to just scale based on under the normal rules, which is 1 APHIS with 4 converters equals 40 metal. So the kings start scaling out of control like crazy. The limiting factor for the kings is the space, and also the fact that they have limited avenues to push out, whereas the peasants have many avenues to push in. One attack from the peasants can end the kings, but the kings have to be very successful going around the map in order to win that one of themselves.
I don't see that happening right now. There's not many units coming out of the kings, and we only have 1 minute and 5 seconds left. At this stage, unless the kings have some labs on repeat for those 3 wings that we talked about, I don't think you're going to see many hard pushes out. This is very defended players we're seeing out of these 7 kings.
Well, as soon as you add the extra players in, there's a dedicated defender for each lane.
Yeah. So unfortunately, Volton on the left there, similar to the player on the north, Ladderden, no defenses around their base. Potato knows what they're doing there. They're building their eco up against this wall, very far away from anyone that can shoot over with plasma units. And then also we've got beamers all the way around here. They'll do quite nicely cleaning up your recluses and your termites if there's enough of them, and I'm sure we'll see some stronger turrets come up here as well as the game gets further in. Alright.
Looking at the state of the map, we'll just cover the last couple of things we haven't mentioned so far. So structures, only use those defensively, so that means if you build a pulsar, make sure that you're building it outside of the range of your opponent's bases. And if you're building things like EMPs or catalysts or Junos, if you're a peasant, make sure you're firing them only in the peasant starting zone. If you're a king, make sure you're firing them only in the king's starting zone. Your own ramps are acceptable. Alright, that is the 10-minute drop. The combat is on, and we do have a big attack coming out of this bottom right-hand side again. Not quite as big as we saw in the previous game. Only 42 Centurions compared to the 77 that we saw last time. And this time they're running into what is going to be a big defense.
Oh my god. Pray, look to the left. Look out of Rosie's base. Kakedo's got a unit that is going to freaking destroy the kings already. There's a catapult on the field.
Yeah, you got to be really careful of those. That is a problem that can be. You can achieve a catapult.
Economy's getting built.
However, catapults can be dealt with quite easily in the early game. If you have units that can leave the base quickly like ticks, this unit is completely alone, so getting ticks down there to clean it up is very simple. Building a catalyst or an EMP is also something that can take care of it nicely, but it is currently unchecked and it has moved into a defensive position with Pormont's comm there, and it doesn't look like there's any sort of push out coming from the kings. This is actually quite smart. I don't know whether they coordinated this one, but the fact that the main offensive is on that bottom side is going to restrict how quickly that catapult can be taken out.
Build power gone, conversion gone. Unfortunately, the fusion reactor's in a very awkward position, and this player's rebuilding in the same spot.
Dear.
They do have a bunch of backup fusions, though, which I do like the look of.
Unfortunately, they are going for shields. Shields do not stop missiles.
The way to deal with the catapult is to go and kill it.
Yeah.
Yes, you have to do that.
We do have Pormont's commander there, but they're going to come across these pounders and the
Those
mammoths
pounders
as well, so that's going to get done pretty quick.
Great job of holding for that first push.
What I'm
does
liking
ARNL
is what is
incredibly
really
strong
important
solution.
as a king. The way to win with king is get to each thing first. Get to T2 first, get to your bigger T2 units, and then get to T3 first, and get to your Titans and Jugs first. And we do have the first T3 in big numbers out of Titan Terror with these 4 Razorbacks. I know that this Cicada lane over on the left did get
Oh,
that
we've
one
got a
catapult.
Juno that's firing out of the middle of the base. Tiny Terror, you cannot use those Junos offensively. Can we grab, if there's a mod in there, can we grab those to be cleaned up?
They did land on armies rather than bases.
It's still not okay. The kings cannot fire their Junos outside into the peasant area because it is essentially because it is the rules.
There we go. The advanced geo goes down on the left. Those Razorbacks did find a lot of damage, and there is a demon there to help stop them. But I think a couple of these will be able to push out and take out this entire base here, if they keep pushing this way.
Unfortunately, they have been picked up by a comm, which is not ideal. But this is what we were talking about dealing with that catapult. The kings do have the power to push out and spot clear very early on in the game. Even with one of the players having a lot of trouble from this bottom side from being taken out of the outside, they are still going through, and the peasants just do not have the build power to deal with this quickly. So they are getting in there and they are cleaning this up. If only that APHIS was complete, it would have managed to chain react and blow up this entire area. The Razorback doing a really good job of trying to stay away from that Shiva to get as much damage done. Does look like it's going to get the T2 lab, and it might get the fusions as well. Really good micro here, so that is cleaned up nicely. So the kings are out and onto the map, which is very, very good. And in the top half of the map, a similar thing is happening with Fiends trying to clear up this defensive position set up by Team Newt. They do love cramming themselves against that wall, but it has been cleaned up for now. Defense is holding strong, and economy is sitting at 50% in favor of peasants, which is about where we would expect it to be right now, and a very good position for both teams.
He's doing quite well. Yes, the left did fall very quick, and it was a risky move out of that left corner from Platinum Rosie and Cicado getting that catapult out. I don't know if it paid off having the entire base fall there, but yeah, having one king down, having 1/7 of an arm down is a big portion, so maybe it was worth it.
The question is, will they get what they need to get back into it? So it does look like some of this build power has been put onto maneuver, which is going to allow for a little bit of assistance. And that player does have those fusions, so they will be able to get back into it.
Recluse coming over the hill, only the one tower. There's a couple Tiger tanks, but they've taken out all the build power and some of the conversion. So backing back down there now that the spotter's there, I wouldn't mind seeing them walk around the corner. Commander going down just off the edge of the
that was
screen
most of the defenses too.
Ooh,
and
that's
the catapult shooting over the hill too.
So there was a shield here to defend this, but one of the things that is particular, siege units are particularly good at taking down those shields because of their volume of fire. You need to have many shields to deal with units, and this is why we do like the unit focus. Bottom side of the map, that T1 has not overly paid off for them. They are now being pushed back by T2 and T3, and we've just seen some of the last defenses pushed out. Those Starlights are going to get a good amount of damage in if they don't chain react themselves. They've taken out one lot of 4 fusions, and they just need to start sweeping down towards the wing. We always know that this is a dangerous wing. Every game, the bottom right-hand side is a danger wing, so they do need to make sure that they take care of that one. It is also where the catapult fire is coming from, so you know it's a danger wing.
What we really need to see is exactly what's happening. These players on the dirt on the outside of the map on the right, sending spam in to counter what's coming. Try and keep this base here alive because it's such a big focus having T3 coming out here. Another big explosion just off to the left there that we hear. These catapults are pretty good. Sorry, these Karganos, quite a good choice actually. They defend against T3 and they're actually quite good against spam as well.
They're so good against spam. Like
they hardly miss.
They've got a fantastic volume of fire. They don't overkill things particularly, and because they've got a bit of splash, when you hit those masses of T1, they do a fantastic job of cleaning them up.
What is going to be a problem though is these mammoths, so we need a commander to come in here and degun them, and I don't see any commanders anywhere.
The commanders have mostly been taken out in this corner, which means that those guys are going to have a pretty even run, and mammoths trade really well against things like Karganets,
Offside.
like Razorbacks, that sort of thing.
Top
Provided
left
they're not
ramp.
shooting corpses.
The peasants are pushing in rather hard. That is
Yeah,
a
they
lot
are
of
keeping it back with a
Sheldons.
T3 though. Sheldons will go down to these starlights. When these starlights come on over, I think we should be able to see most of this cleaned up, especially if that Razorback's microed well. And we can see there those units now pulling back the Sheldons and Quakers combined.
That ramp has been entirely
Oh.
wiped though at this stage.
I've just missed it. Duffy's base, pretty much down these mammoths.
They're
Yeah,
having a
and
bit
the-
of trouble pushing that last bit in, but they are going to grab that advanced
That
geo.
advanced
There's no
geo,
build
yeah.
power to reclaim it. There's no com to snipe it. And that is going to take the fusions, which is a huge chunk. This is 2 wings cleared out, essentially.
That is a
2.5
huge-
huge
Yeah.
chain reaction going on down there.
Oh,
it doesn't
no.
stop.
Oh no,
Oh,
and the
wow.
ticks have found the rest. Oh, this whole lot's gone. This whole lot is gone. Now look, we talk about, we often talk about how we say to build wind in rows of 2. The reality is that if they get this far into the base, it probably doesn't overly matter, but it can save a bit of time. So the Kings are in a very good spot just here.
Yeah, it has been a good match. We've seen 2 peasant lanes fall, and we've also seen 2 kings lanes fall. So it's not too dissimilar. It's still anyone's game. The kings though scaling quite
Commander
hard, and you can
destroyed.
see at the top right of the screen, the metal is getting closer and closer to being even. So once that evens out, usually we see that as an advantage for the kings. Even when the kings are a little bit behind on metal, we still see that as an advantage just because they get to focus all of that into heavier T3, whereas the peasants, they're scaling individually.
But we're approaching the 20-minute mark, which means a lot of the players in the dry sea, they've been forced to build up from nothing, no mexes. That means that if they're doing well, between the 20 and 25-minute mark, these players can come online in a reasonably strong fashion. They have been forced to go into units early, which is not going to help them do that. But this is one of the conditions we put in there to try and force the kings out of their base early. Because if you leave the dry sea to just eco up, you end up with the peasants spiraling absolutely out of control. So it's essentially an additional win condition for the peasants to try and defend that, but it also, if the peasants in the middle ring fall, that is a lot of the economy, a lot of the unit production that goes down. So you have to balance it when you're around the outside.
That top line is still really being pushed hard there. That commander, you got to make sure that if you've got him invisible, as soon as you give him a command, he's going to become visible. So by building the mechs there on the point, that saw all the T2 units just fire all at once, and he went down pretty quickly. And quite well defended now out of those kings. Having that pulsar up on the hill from Tiny Terror as well, that's just enough to scare the peasants away and stop pushing that lane. And I don't mind seeing all these SARs, because they do very well against those clumped up units that we saw there before. Now the kings backing up a little bit, sorry, the peasants backing up a little bit, but there is a catapult firing over, and it's seen the conversion. If only they can get the right line of sight. One of the best things to do is actually just aim at the hill in front of you,
Yes.
rather than aiming for.
Platinum Blonde is trying to find a spot where it can land, and he has. But the reality is that you get very good consistency just aiming at the tops of those hills. But that's the conversion down, and the Kargi's coming in at the same time. One of the things you have to do, because they're up against a lot of static defense, the Persecutors as well as the Vanguards, keep running them in, try and make the shots do the damage for you rather than the units having to do the damage. If you can make the Vanguards fire at the APHIS, fire at the build power, you're doing a very good job. Now, let's talk about potential win conditions for both of these teams. So, the top half is holding very, very strong and pushing for the peasants. The bottom half has got their defense on well enough that they're no longer under threat from the kings. So what do the kings need to do to win this one? They need to scale. They need to keep defending in the top half, and they need to scale where they're strong, and then they have to come out with an overwhelming amount of force. For the kings, for the peasants at the bottom half need to continue defending this as best as they can and try not to fall. Allow the players that can scale to scale, and then let the top half of the map win the game for you. These guys need to switch basically entirely from eco production into
Commander
unit production,
destroyed.
and they need to overwhelm the kings in multiple positions. Continue sending units to this right-hand entrance, continue sending units to the left-hand entrance, but make sure they're cheap ones. Have them be ticks or rovers, something along those lines, just so that you're keeping the kings in vision, you're making sure that they're not doing anything too much, and you're letting your siege units do what they need to do, which is siege. Your catapults can just keep chipping away at these units, keep doing damage, and stop them from pushing out. Then when you've built up an overwhelming force, push in, send spiders over the top, send Kargis over the top, send units at the entrances, send siege units to start poking and prodding, and really overwhelm them as a team. That's what you want to try and do, and bring in a couple of units. Let the players with the highest eco bring in some of the strongest units like Titans and things along those lines that are going to take time to be taken down here. Sending units in piecemeal, like what's happening at the moment with these termites and the recluse, whilst it's possible they'll do damage, the reality is that they probably won't just yet. So you got to try and coordinate that one to completely overwhelm the kings, because the kings are going to be able to respond in force, so you need to respond even more.
Yeah, if you send up
Right.
5 or so, they'll probably get wiped out. If you send 20 or 30, there's a good chance that at least half of them will probably get a volley off, and suddenly you're dealing significant amounts of damage to whatever's up there.
Even
Let's
if they
just make-
don't get damage, if you coordinate it with other attacks, it means the units defending can only fire at one thing at a
Or-
time.
Marauders pushing out to the right get cleaned up so quickly. They've run into some of the
It is-
only snipers I've seen on the game, and those sharpshooters just take these out instantly. I also want to just point out on the left, sorry, Prey, the Oceans come online with a whole bunch of vanguards, and I just need to say, Kakado and those around have completely got that base back up online already into 3 fusion, and just about to get an APHIS up on the left, so that corner is going to be back online very soon.
So that's the thing, the kings have to keep those areas that they've taken under their control so the players can't get back into it. And just speaking of those marauders, the time for marauders ends at about 15 minutes for the kings, unless you have a cracked open lane, in which case you can use them to deny and to rapidly attack players that are trying to build up defenses and get ready.
Yeah, you
but
can
if
get
you're
them
trying to
onto the
break
outside.
a defensive
So
position,
good.
if you're trying to break a defensive position, marauders are not your unit.
Yeah, anything fast. Once you break onto the outside, just send something fast all the way around, because quite often it's not very defended. You can actually see there's almost no defenses on the outside, just a few beamers, nothing heavy, nothing that's going to stop a marauder from going in a big way.
But some of
So it
those
does look
kings,
like the peasants have managed to regain the momentum at this point. They're currently about 150% up in eco, which is not what you want to see as the kings.
I do like to see continuous scaling at a tiny terror in the middle, just going into another APHIS, and with
top
that bonus,
wings
that's
for the
easily
kings
enough
is
to
under
overflow
heavy
everyone.
fire at the moment.
Yeah. Catapults are really quite a tough thing, and we do see our first Titan coming down out of the fringe as well. That's going to do all right, but it's coming up against the Starlights. Starlights do chain react. You want to make sure that you don't clump them up like this, because you'll see just how much damage they do to each other. A lot of them just going down to about 50%, and there you go, Catapult. Polishing them off there. There was about 10 of them, now there's 2, and they're almost dead, those last 2.
Starlight's chain reacting is they are incredibly powerful, but you do need to keep them nice and spread. Does look like
More
another
marauders
Marauders
pushing.
attack coming onto the right hand side, but again, walking into those snipers is not going to do them good. But in this number and without the front line that was there before, they might actually be able to punch through, but at a very great cost. The numbers that are going to make it through are quite low. Only 8 of them left on that frontline push, but they have cleared the way for the Razorbacks.
Oh, there's Geo. The Geo.
And there's a Geo right in front of them. So I guess me saying that the time for the Marauders is over, I might have been overstating that a little bit, and plenty of damage has just been done there to justify that attack. And if those Marauders can start sweeping around, there's no defenses for them to hit other than a Rattlesnake and a Pitbull in that middle lane. So this is some real possibilities here for some damage to be done sweeping in both directions, and that's exactly what the Kings need right now. They are currently under massive pressure from the rest of the map, and unless something changes soon, the Kings are going to be pushed further and further back until those catapults start hitting the main ecos.
Listen, it takes just lost their eco, their fusion's gone down to that catapult. That catapult's getting dangerously close to the middle eco now. Just a few more steps and they'll be able to start reaching some of that build power that's attached to those AFS.
And with the Titan in front, it's going to be quite hard to break through, and with the spam already coming up the line, and mostly beamers being, and mostly pulsars being used to defend, that is,
like what I'm saying here.
that spam's going to get in sooner rather than later.
Spam building up instead of just trickling in. I think they're going to go all at once. You can see some fiends, you can see a ton of ticks, and what you need beamers, LLTs, twin guards to stop this stuff. Right now, there's one Razorback. Razorbacks do well, but against the equivalent metal and ticks, we have tested and found out that the ticks actually win that fight.
Convincingly. You have to get so many Razorbacks that the ticks can't get into range before the Razorbacks start trading favorably against ticks, which is a ludicrous amount. At 20 Razorbacks, it still wasn't enough.
And that Titan is just sitting on the edge there, purposely holding back. Here we go, these ticks starting to move again. Are we going to see them push in?
If they push in, I reckon this might be the beginning of the end.
Yeah. And they want to do it soon because those Razorbacks on the right are still going all the way around, and here go the ticks. They've found a lane, they just waited for that catapult to fire. Mr. No Takes commander. Oh, they're just ignoring the commander. They're just going straight for the eco. They're going for the top.
They're also scouting for a massive push over the cliffs, where we have 10 Karganeths as well as 16 of the Recluse all coming over. This is going to be the elimination of one of the King's player and the opening of the map.
And now spam going into the top lane there. The middle of the map is exposed, as we said. Spam's going to be what gets through, and there are sharpshooters right behind, so a couple more shots and bang.
And chain reaction across the whole King's base. That's just dropped them down to under 600 metal income, which means that the Kings right now are sitting at 1,000% deficit. Oh, sitting at 500% deficit in economy, which with the defenses now basically being down, there is very little the Kings going to be able to do to stop this one. The Razorbacks still out in the field have done a great amount of damage. The Kings were in the process of turning this one around, but unfortunately, just that little the Kings just weren't quite able to hold on long enough in this top hand side. The peasants did exactly what they needed to do, which was overwhelm in multiple positions at once and attack all together, and that was the downfall for the Kings. As it turns out, King of the Hill somewhat parallels real life. If you have enough, if everyone bands together, you end up with enough to overwhelm the ruling monarchs. History does teach us some very interesting lessons that are applied in video games these days.
Protato has done fantastically. Their base setup I really like. They got vanguards around the edge here. The eco's in a perfect position to be out of range of most of this stuff. Build power is split into 4 different groups, about to be 5. So that if you do get chain reactions, it's not going to take everything out, and as long as you've got still 1 or 2 clumps of build power together, you're going to get the rest up very quickly.
And the unfortunate thing for a lot of the other players, they just had to deal with a lot. So for example, on this left-hand wing, the early damage meant that I think this was Votanum, was unable to properly come online, and by the time they did, they were under siege from catapults and vanguards all over again. And while they tried to deal with it as best they could, there was just so much fire up there that not even 3 shields could keep the shots away. So they got put in a very rough position, and unfortunately the King's response just was not there to push it out. But I mean, look around the outside of the map. Almost a quarter cleared up just by Tiny Terror's Razorbacks. The Kings, if they'd been able to hold on for a couple more minutes, would have been able to completely divert their attention away from this corner. But unfortunately, as with most of these games, that is what happens. The game does swing on a couple of key decisions, and that attack happening when it did was one of them.
That's right. And those wondering, just there's a slight lag in the game. There's slightly lower FPS for everyone, or a lot of players anyway. That is just a server thing since the last update, and I have heard that's going to be worked on shortly. So if you can just bear with us for tonight and the replays, it'll be back up and running. I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks with a slightly smoother spectating experience.
Just to cover what's going on right here. Chronographer has sent a couple of decoy comms in. He was attempting to steal some
Capture.
of the to capture some of the
I'm
the
still
buildings there,
waiting
so that he
for
could
that.
control D them and detonate the buildings.
I'm still waiting for someone to submit a replay where you see the Junos take out all the radar, and then decoys go and capture an APHIS or something, and then control D it. I want to see that. Tiny Terror doing a lot.
Quick
Rat's
look
doing
at
the
that
same.
damage dealt. We can see the King's very dominant in the damage dealt, but so many peasants flooding the damage dealt graph on their side of things. If you add up the areas under the curves, then you would find, I think you'll find that all the peasants combining forces together was just absolutely overwhelming. Quick look at the metal production, and as you can see, Tiny Terror doing incredibly well as many of our other kings, but a few of them, unfortunately, they just got attacked so much that they weren't able to pick back up. And this is one of those things, you always expect to see 3 of those lines a bit lower for the kings because you've got 3 defensive players, but with the wings, it's so important how you build and where you build to defend from those attacks, so that you can 100% keep that eco alive. Alright everyone, thanks for joining us for this one. We're going to jump into the next one.
Yeah, if you're watching this on the replay, please like and subscribe.
And jump onto the Discord, and if you want to play live with us, that is Sunday nights, 9 PM Australian Central Time. Alright everyone, we'll catch you in the next one. So to answer your question, defensive gauntlets and persecutors are perfectly fine so long as they are built defensively. That means try to make sure that they're not built in range of any area that the kings are going to be building buildings. So you're more than welcome to be building those ones, just do not use them to attack the king's bases, because the kings do not have a choice where they build, so predictive fire is a menace.
For things like Throne, they can hit anywhere on no man's land, they can't hit the top tier at all.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to shuffle some players around.
That we do, and the bonus is 75. If we get a few more players. Is that 36 on the team? I can't actually see the way that the drop down appears for me.
There's 36 and 16, so...
Yeah.
So it is about 40, 43 players for the for the peasants.
Yeah. All right. So we'll just lock in Platinum Ron, Grumpiness, Duffy. Oh, we're gonna have a few big names here. Rosie, Kakado, and then we'll go down and lock in some other players that haven't done this before. We got Brother Gear. So we're going to go another name, Purse. I haven't seen them there before. So what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we'll go Paulmott. Yep, he's asked nicely. And we will lower this bonus if we don't get more people joining, don't you worry, people. Because right now it would be quite unfair, especially with some of these names. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we're going to go a lower OS player so that these guys don't have it too easy. And we're going to go Mayor. Who is that? Marsh. I cannot pronounce that. All right, players. Well, Small got a boss. Change team. Team 1. A handsome Kings team, that one. And do not be deceived by Pawnmont's OS. Probably one of the better Kings that we see on Raptor Crater every week. Has a build that gets an AFS up and plenty of units out and plenty of defenses up at 10 minutes with a 75% bonus. We are going to need, though, a couple more players to join, otherwise we'll drop this bonus down a bit. While we wait for a minute or two, we'll just check out the comments on the Twitch and YouTubes. So we've gone over the gauntlets and the persecutors. They're okay defensively. Just build them on Raptor Crater. Make sure that you cannot reach an opponent's mechs. This is one of the only maps where we can actually define it by a object on the map. A metal point on the map or an eco point on the map. So that's fine as long as that arc doesn't hit or reach the metal points closest to you. Whereas Throne and Claymore, it's just like do not shoot anywhere where your opponent starts.
I actually go a little bit further and say you have to remember that there will be some defenses just in front of that mech, so err on the cautious side.
You can basically have your defenses go to the changing color at the bottom of the ramp. Any
That's
farther
actually a really
is
really
probably
good way
too
to
far.
That's a narrative. That's a narrative that we should probably go for from now on. Same goes for the Kings as well. It's not just one way. Kings don't be shooting up over the hills.
Yeah, none of the King stuff should be able to hit the top of those.
Looking at the number of players and the quality of players, I think we should drop that bonus down just a bit and then kick this one off.
Looks like we lost one. That's right.
Have we?
Yeah.
Did somebody just get moved?
Small's down there with the bonus now. I don't know where the other player went.
One of the players who was down there with the bonus jumped out, so I pulled their bonus off.
Oh, that's an even more powerful Kings team now. That was the lowest OS player that got pulled out. 52. Got 52 peasants now. Do we change the bonus or do we just leave it as it goes? I don't want to see an absolute walkover.
The thing is, with a plus 75, there will be the opportunity for a huge amount of eco for the Kings.
Yeah, maybe we'll get back down to 70.
If the Kings don't get pressured to a very high degree at 10 minutes, with a 75, they will take over quite quickly.
The tricky thing is you got Kakado, Rosie, Platinum Blonde, Duffy, and Grumpy. So you all know, even small Pawnmont, you all know they're going to be involved in some sort of co-op eco if they were on the Peasants team. So not only are they on the Kings team, there's also those players not like less players doing that co-op on the Peasants team. So let's drop it. Let's drop the bonus. The player count's holding about the same. We'll go down to 70. Yeah. Or Prados going 65.
We can do 70, but I reckon it'll still be too high.
Yeah, we'll go 65. You know what? We tested 65 and it's absolutely fine to get up everything you need. 65 it is. I'll just make sure that the numbers aren't exploding for the peasants.
Now, just checking, Twig, are you planning on doing... this will be the last one for me, but are you planning to keep going after this one?
I will do one more after this one if it doesn't go for longer than 40 minutes.
Provided this one doesn't go for a ludicrously long time, then we'll have one more game after this one. I like that. In the comments, Smurf is saying that we should put Duffy at a plus 50 and leave everyone else at a 75.
Why stop at 50?
You're right. Why stop at 50?
Pick a number somewhere between 0 and 1.
Rules are slightly different for this map compared to the other ones. Well, all maps have slightly different rules. I don't think things like arbiters are turned off on this one, are they?
No, we've got the T2
No.
build power that chain reacts.
Yep.
For this one. And everything else is fair game, essentially. Other than you can't have defensive structures that shoot beyond the changing colour, so kings can't shoot outside of that lower ring, and peasants can't shoot inside of it. You can defend your
Yep.
ramps, but you can't shell into where buildings are likely to be getting constructed.
Yep. So
Yeah.
rules that are consistent through all the maps are air is turned off, and do not use structures offensively. The rest of the rules, there are some minor differences between maps. So the big one for this one is to make sure that you are not using offensive structures beyond the ramps into the middle. So if you are the kings, make sure that you're using them defensively inside your hill. If you are the peasants, make sure you're using them defensively outside of the hill. But because of the number of entrances, the number of kings, and the number of players, this one is probably the most standard out of all of them.
You guys get a battle ended message?
I have not.
No, I'm in the game as a spectator.
That's odd. Mine just went battle ended.
You
Rejoin.
might want to jump out and jump back in then.
I will likely end up lagging behind once this gets rolling beyond sort of half an
Yeah.
hour or so again.
I mean, if there's anyone in the Twitch chat that knows when that next update's coming to fix these server issues, feel free to comment roughly when it's going to be. I really do hope it's before the Christmas break when we see a lot more players online playing games, because they're not at work.
And also because you want to play a whole bunch of games over Christmas.
My game style though, very rarely I'm in one of those games that gets to late game. I also play a lot of small team games rather than the large team games, so they've stuck at T1 for most of the game and they're over before you see that lag.
I have a challenge I want you to complete over the Christmas holidays. I want you to win 5 games straight where you have more than 10 APHIS.
No, I don't think I've had a competitive game with like more than 5 APHIS ever. I'm
Well,
more
that's
of
your
a
challenge.
find the
It
gap.
has been issued.
I'll just copy all these build orders. Giga Blooms, get out the middle. It's great seeing some of these names in week after week. Even some of the players that you see join recently, they come back for more. So 50 versus 9. A nightmare after this one, if you could raid AllReasonNoLogic with the Beyond All Reason official, please.
But only at the end of the game.
Looks like we should be able to do that before start.
Battle started.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to King of the Hill on Raptor Crater. Today is looking like All-Stars Day. In the middle of the map we have Grumpiness, we have Cocato, we've got Rosie, Platinum Blonde, Duffy, Small, Pormont, Just to name a few, these guys all know what they're doing. So if you want to win this one, put that pressure on early. Make sure that you do what you need to make that happen. Around the outside, though, we've got some very strong players as well. We've got starting in... Wait, why isn't it in OS order? What is going on? Looking out into the lobby just for a quick second, we do have Emir who's jumping in, Tiny Terror who was one of the strongest King players in the previous game, as well as many other well-known names in Orange. Alrighty, so what's going on here? Well, if you know, you know. But we do have a King of the Hill no rush 10-minute timer. That means the lava will drop at 10 minutes, and that is all everyone can go their hardest. You want to have units at that 10-minute mark to make offenses happen. The Kings, how can the Kings possibly win this one? Well, they have a plus 65% bonus, which means that they're going to scale harder than the peasants. They should be able to get themselves up a decent economy by that 10-minute mark, and anything beyond that's going to go very, very hard. For example, with plus 65%, when you build an APHIS, you would normally then build 4 energy converters. Those energy converters would give you 40 metal from the APHIS. For the Kings, that is not the case. That plus 65% applies to both the APHIS and to the converters. So that means you need to build yourself between 6 and 7 converters, and that's going to net you somewhere between about 120 and 150 metal. Does look like we do have a player trying to jump over to the other side of the lava. We would have thought that that was a reasonably obvious barrier. We also do post that one in the rules. That is not okay. So that one's just going to have a quick disappearing act, I think.
Yeah, we're just going to give them the opportunity to walk back, otherwise, yeah.
We'll have to unpause them to be able to move.
Yeah, it's not impacted the game yet, so they can resume. They just have to walk back over.
Self-destructed.
It's gone.
Alrighty, then
Now
we'll jump back
resume.
into the action. Unfortunately, crossing that lava is not acceptable. The Kings do have that 10 minutes no rush timer in order to deal with things. One thing to bear in mind before anyone is too harsh on anyone: if you look at all these flags running down the side of the map, which you may or may not be able to see, we have players of basically every language under the sun, which means that there is no guarantee that everyone will be able to read the rules, and there's no guarantee that they translate to mean the same things across language barriers. So things like that do happen, and we just have to make the best decision we can to keep the game going, because when there are 60 people in a lobby, then you end up in a position where you have to make a decision for the greater good. And yes, that does sometimes mean that Kings get a slight bit more lenience than peasants, because if a King goes down, that is 1/9 of the entire team. If a peasant goes down, that's 1/50th of the entire team. So we just do our best to try and make it as fair as possible for everyone, and to try and make the game as even as possible so everyone can have a bit of fun.
Self-destructed.
Now, I didn't introduce everyone at the start of this one because I got distracted, and also I'm a little bit out of practice after a couple of weeks off. Joining me in the casting booth is Twig and Tank Tom, who have been joining me tonight for these ones. Oh, and I'm Praetus, by the way.
Really
I always forget to mention that.
I've not seen this build before. Grumpiness going into beamers this early, 3.5 minutes. Beamers in the middle. What is that for? I do not get it.
I mean, look.
Generally we focus on putting all your metal into eco until like the 8 or 9 minute mark, and then put down all your defenses once you've maximized that economy. We find that the most efficient, but hey, each to their own. This guy is way better at bar than me, so I'm not going to say it's not the right thing to do. And they've got plenty of metal in the bank.
Commander,
You say that, but I actually have a theory about Grumpiness, because all the varied tactics and all the different build positions, I'm wondering, is Grumpiness many people all in one big coat, and they get different turns looking out through the eyes, they get different turns being the left arm, being the right arm. That's my question, because there's just too much variation here.
I feel like I'm watching
Commander,
Pacific Rim right now. We've got a couple brains operating the big robot.
I watched that on the plane flight over to Cairns.
What number time would that be for watching for you, bro? Like,
Commander.
Oh look, it's
self-destructed.
probably my favorite
Commander
movie.
destroyed.
It's probably my favorite movie, so I'd
Commander
say that's at least
self-destructed.
like my 12th to 15th viewing.
double com detonation here out of the king. Something I never do. I never detonate my com as a king, because too many times you see king's comms accidentally completely reclaimed. Quite often they'll leave like a couple metal on these things so they can res them later on, but then if someone accidentally builds like a build turret within range, I mean, that one's just completely gone. and then you can never res it. And there's only 5 kings left for the kings.
Do you know
Or
my
5 commanders.
biggest disappointment about this double com explosion? If you even single com explosion as a peasant around the outside, you get lava. But in the middle of the map, no, double com, not enough for lava.
It really makes quite an impact. I wonder if you can somehow like just keep detonating and then resurrecting your commander until there's just such a big hole that units can't cross it. And
Oh, look, we actually know this from a testing stream a while ago. If you get yourself a bunch of decoy comms and degun the ever-living everything out of these ramps, you can make basically trenches that units have to navigate through. It's and if you do it around the outside of the map, you can actually dig lava trenches.
Battle resumed.
quite an interesting tactic. Don't do it though. Very,
Yep.
very, very.
For
slow.
reference, I think there was
Pause.
something in the realm of like 500 to 1,000 D guns that were fired in order to dig those trenches, so it wasn't overly efficient, but it does
Where is a
work.
king getting attacked at the moment?
Top middle goat lover is building the gauntlet that we talked about, not building bro. Yeah, if we can get that deleted, I mean, I feel like he should get punished.
Sorry, there's
even
always
more,
one
but-
game every night where this does happen. But while this is going on, while this is being cleaned up, we're just going to concentrate on what is going on around the outside of the map, because we've barely talked about the peasants, which is a crime considering just how good some of the peasants around the outside of the map are. So let's just have a quick chat about these corner positions, because these corner positions are pivotal in the game. These are your co-op eco positions. Everybody in this corner should be working towards one economy, and we're kind of seeing that. We're seeing Potato and Maxi on in the bottom right, as well as Rhodey and Thule working together to get their T2 out. Around the map in other places, though, we're just not seeing as much of that co-op. And this is a real win condition for the peasants. Without all 4 of these corners co-op ecoing, the peasants are going to be behind right out of the gate. So unless there's enough aggression to really, really keep the kings from doing anything important, you're going to find that the peasants run out of steam quite early on without them working it together. Looking at a few of the other positions, if you're directly in front of a ramp, your job is to talk to the people that are near you, to talk to your co-op eco and say, hey, are we doing something at 10 minutes or not? If you are, then probably units as a defensive measure. If you're not, then probably buildings as a defensive measure. If you're in the middle, if you're on one of these positions, then potentially work out whether or not you're going to try and siege from the high ground using units, or if you're going to go into units to push through. We have seen it before. If every player gets themselves
Commander
20 to 50
self-destructed.
incisors, you can overwhelm the kings guaranteed every time, but coordinating a whole team to do that is absolutely insanely difficult, so we've only ever seen it the once. So those are your main positions around the outside. There are some outliers on the left and right hand side. These are your weakest positions. I would highly recommend being more defensive here or incredibly offensive, because usually the kings in the middle are not ready for you to be offensive because you are the weakest. You don't have the backing of anyone. You have less players. You have less mexes. Down the bottom, you do have a bit of support from those higher ground positions. If you co-op eco there, you can do quite a strong T2 push into the middle of the map. So hopefully we'll see a few of those. There's 2 minutes left on the map, so this is about when you want to start getting your defenses. It's about the same sort of time you want to start getting your units for a push, because there will be undefended king's lanes. There always are. With a minute and a half to go, it does look like Cookato's lane may be one of the less defended, though the build turrets are going down for that for the purpose of getting defenses right now, but it does look like Brother Gear's lane is going to be one of the weakest to start with very little in the way of defenses, but there's also very little in the way of offensive units to attack, so it probably will work out just fine.
Beaumont's done his AFS build again, but with the 65% bonus instead of 75 as practice, and it's going to be a lot closer. So this is where Tom and I were talking about last week, how yes, you need the 75% bonus to achieve this build. That is polished quite well. Also, he's actually
walls and things
doing
are
his
being built as
defenses.
well.
Yeah. Every one of those walls, 8 metal. So you get up a lot of these. I think he's going to be getting, what's that? That's over 700 worth of metal in walls, and more to come, as well as beamers. So yeah, a little bit of a riskier one. 7% left though. They're going to get that up in time, but they're not going to get the conversion. I think the right thing to do here, reclaiming those wins to get it finished. So that came up a little bit quicker. We're probably going to see a bunch of ticks and whatnot, so that this is defended. Having said that, not many units for all teams. 8 seconds left, and we're only saying...
You say that, but there are 500 units on the map.
Oh, actually, I checked like a minute or two ago, and it was at 150. So it's jumped up. I may have written into the all game chat. Don't forget to build units, people. So I think maybe there was a reaction out of that.
And with the 10 minutes,
pushes.
the lava has dropped, and the attacks should begin. Let us see what's going on. It does look like this bottom right-hand side is probing. They've run into a couple of beamers, and unfortunately the players haven't quite coordinated to get in there at the same time, so those units are going to be cleaned up, but the Grunt's doing a good job just trying to avoid those defenses. Nicely done. We do have some units building up from a few other players to try and gun the other entrance, and Emir's getting up in there. This is going to be huge. D-Gun's going down. The comm will go down for it, but that's going to blow a path, and these units are going to run through. Hopefully that's going to be some big damage. We did have a big run by on the right-hand side, but it was cleaned up by Duffy's defenses, but it is going to be the lane cleared by Emir that's going to be running in. That is 110 ticks, 55 pawns, and they're running straight into a couple of salamanders, and that is about it. This is going to be an absolutely dominant attack. This should actually clear up an entire player. We need the middle to react. Grumpiness needs to be getting the spam killing units down to the middle of the map. And look, great micro right here out of Emir, keeping a lot of the units away from the explosions. So that's going to be a huge amount in. The Beamer's doing a good job of cleaning this one up, but unfortunately not quite enough, and those ticks are running rampant. They have been selected for mass eating by the construction turrets, but they are somewhat in. They will be cleaned up here. The sniper's doing a good job. I don't think there's enough damage to take out a fusion or the build power.
Yeah,
but still very strong attack.
Oh well.
And Duffy's, and we've also seen Duffy's conversion going down from a couple of units running past. Kings have an open lane. If only a few more players could run their units down, we would actually have seen a complete cleanup. And unfortunately, too much of a split as well, so the fusion reactors stay up for Kukado. So that is a lot of reclaim available there, and the potential to get right back into this.
Yeah, nicely done out of Emre and Homer down that bottom right, so a lot of units are going to go there. These pawns not going to make it. That's too many beamers, and it's really the pop-ups that are going to do all the damage there.
Second wave coming in this time, and it is T2 with T1 support. Large number of hounds are going to be able to lay down plenty of fire to deal with this, provided the T1 sticks with them. They should be able to clean up a lot of these units, but the T1 is looking for the other players.
Left.
Smart move right here, knowing that there's almost always open lanes to.
Oh, look at that micro though! Did you see that micro out of Rosie? Just reclaiming the conversion that was right on the edge of the build power, and actually stopped the chain reaction into the build power. That was really good reaction. Unfortunately, though, a couple of blitzers surviving and able to take that out. That is a lot of damage done to the Kings right now. We did have high hopes for the Kings for this one, but unfortunately, a couple of very strong pushes by the peasants have really opened things up, and the Kings just are not able to get that economy rolling. Do bear in mind though, we are at 13 minutes and the economy, even with 2 Kings taken out, is barely in favor of the peasants. So if the peasants don't win here and the Kings are able to hold, then the Kings are going to be able to eco scale and absolutely dominate the peasants. Yeah, genuinely, like that's usually at about the 70% difference, and we're seeing only a 20% difference in the eco. So yeah, as Prey said, Don't think that this is in the favour of the peasants right now, although economically anyway.
But
On the
the
map,
counter-attack is happening, though. We do have Duffy pushing out right now, has made it through his lane and up with Stouts. These units do have the potential now to really start pushing around. Stouts are surprisingly punchy, and they're being backed up by snipers. So there's this... This attack really should be able to push around and do a lot of damage. And without that, with the players going for such an offensive strategy, they're not going to be able to build the defenses and build the units up quickly enough to deal with this. Scrin is using the most powerful unit in the game at this point, which is the comm, to take out as many of these tanks as possible. Absolutely devastating the line. I reckon that was about 30% of the tank reinforcements taken out by a single comm. And then we do have Bravo trying to clear up the rest. These tanks are now not in large enough numbers to be completely unstoppable like they were before. So really good use of comms right here. Hot Potato tried to do the same but was caught out. Is now trying to get the heal to do the same thing again. A couple of players taken out, but again, these corners are some of the weaker points at the start of the game. So this is sort of like grabbing the low-hanging fruit for the Kings.
Right, jump over to the middle of the game right now. We are seeing some sneakiness happen. I don't want to point out exactly what it is until it comes online, and it does. We do have...
Good timing right there.
Oh, my game just crashed.
Rob the madman, you madman. Good job right there. Huge amount of eco chunking, and that is keeping the Kings from scaling. And they got the fusions too.
Oh,
that
boy,
explosion
man.
actually crashed my game, so apologies to my stream. I'm just getting back online now.
That is a big problem, and it does look like the push has been shut down with the Stouts. We do have a Centurion wall that is slowing this one down, and we do have T2 units coming to do the damage. Arbiters and Sheldon, so long as they are firing for maximum effect, they should do quite nicely here with the Centurion front line. But Duffy does have a lot of economy rolling in, and it is all going into those T1 units. So we do need this line just is not going to stop, and so much metal reclaim is happening as well to make this one happen. Some snipers doing a great job of picking out the comm that really has devastated the defensive line. This is still going to be a tough thing to hold for the peasants, but I do think they've got what they need to defend it. But it has stopped the bleeding. The Kings are no longer under threat from many of the are no longer under much threat from the lanes because of this big attack by Duffy. So sometimes the best defense is a good offense.
It's managed to pull a lot of that pressure coming out of that bottom right corner up to defend this push, so that they can hold the space that they've got to be able to continue scaling. Whereas if that push hadn't come out and required a response, the peasants would have just kept on rolling into the middle of the map.
And I reckon this is going to be one of the most pivotal parts of the game. If this bottom right-hand corner can get enough support to live, I think the Kings are going to be in a bit of a struggle position. If they do go down, then I reckon the Kings are going to be in a very good position to take this one.
And for the peasants, it doesn't have to be just this bottom right side that puts the pressure on. If the pressure comes from anywhere else on the map, the Kings are going to have to start responding to that, which will draw pressure away from this side where the current push is, which we're seeing come out of the top right corner at the moment. Not a whole lot of units, but it's at least something.
This is just so many Stouts, though. This is 100 Stouts, and the line just does not stop. Ironically, I actually reckon one of the best moves you could have done here is put walls down to stop them from getting up the ramps. Just completely wall them out and fight from behind the walls.
It's T2 walls to stop Stouts, isn't it?
I think T1 walls stop Stouts.
I always forget.
They do.
Yeah, T1 walls can be run over by T2 units, but not T1.
Yeah.
T1 rules, not all T2 either. Like your Jags won't run through a T1 wall either. I think you need like mammoths or similar.
Something like a tiger will
So
punch through them. Like T1 walls.
Let's talk a bit about defending here. Against these Stouts, it can be very hard to defend because you're trying to slow them down as much as you possibly can, but you have to let the critical mass build up, because if you just are trailing units into the Stouts, they will eventually overwhelm you. Thule is going to be absolutely critical here in defending. If Thule can get good D-guns off and not lose the comm here, that'll be absolutely fantastic. Rhodey Your comm is not invisible. You are endangering the entire defense right here.
Oh boy.
Oh,
And
that's bad.
assisting the lab
That's
means
bad.
that it'll be visible no matter what.
Yep. If you cannot make your comm invisible, then sometimes it's better not to defend, because right now Thule is the only one that can hold this. Great D-guns right here. Keep walking that comm forward, because it is going to go down, and you want that explosion to do as much as possible. But that is so many tanks down. Now hopefully there's enough to defend this. We do have the welders starting to come up, but again, this tank line just is not stopping. Thankfully, we've got the snipers coming in to start picking them off. We do have the spam coming in. We do have the count. We do have more comms coming in to defend. I reckon this is going to be real tight on that defensive point. The Sumo's just doing such a good job of holding this back. The Sheldons and the Arbiters getting as much damage on, and I do think the bulk of this force has now been broken, but the second sniper wave is here. We do have Grumpiness's snipers coming through, which are going to make this defense very hard once again. So more and more concentration of units, but again, only the low-hanging fruit have been killed by the peasants at the moment. So the peasants do have a great opportunity to keep going, and they're putting a lot of pressure on the other side of the map. We do see on the high ground, we do have those negotiators, we do have those tremors that are starting to clear out Pormont's defenses, and Pormont, whilst is strong with the eco, is going for that T3 transition, so is in a bit of a weak spot right now. So if more pressure can be put on by the rest of the map, it is going to be overwhelming. But we do have one of the most classic pushes at the top of the map, and that is the overwhelming force of Karganeths. They are being swarmed by T1 right now, and they are being taken out by some of the pulsars in the area, as well as some of the defensive artillery like the gauntlets. But they have managed to completely eliminate a player here. So the Kings are keeping the economy equal, and they are pushing out and destroying peasant by peasant, which is an absolutely grand achievement. So it is a bit of a momentary stalemate, but the pushes just do not stop, and no team is being allowed to overly eco this bottom left-hand side. If only this had been a co-op corner, we could have seen a huge amount of damage being pushed down and more pressure on the King, but they're just coming up with their economy now. The third APE is about to finish off. That could have been so much more if it had been allowed to be at the top left-hand side, still working on that eco, but they need to start putting the pressure on. They do have a lane that could be used to massively pressure Brother Gear, but we'll see how... Oh, sorry, not Brother Gear, Perspecula. But we'll see how that one goes. Does look like the attack has petered out on the bottom right-hand side. There was enough T2 brought to bear to defend, and they're now going for a different wave of attack. So we will see. But the scaling just is not there in the background. We do see Duffy finally going into an APHIS at the 21-minute mark. That is almost unheard of as a late time to get it. So defenses are being reoriented. Players are getting ready for this next attack. We'll see how it goes. But
good example that you don't need APHIS to win the games as well. Duffy doing just about the most damage out of all the Kings as well, just off the fusions.
Imagine if every King was doing a similar sort of push where every two Kings worked together. One went mass T1, one went T2 ranged units. I reckon that we would see the peasants fall every game with a strategy like that.
You can outscale their economy by building more economy, or killing theirs. If they don't have an economy, yours will be bigger by default.
And here we go, the massive wave, 103 stouts pushing up. This is going to be a very, very big push. T2 doing as much as possible to deal with it. We do have a comm detonation though, absolutely clearing that one out. Those 100 tanks have been whittled down to 25 in just seconds, and the T2 is now here to close that gap once more. The snipers though doing so much damage, but I do think there's enough T2 to keep clearing this one up. We just need more and more to be pushing. The counter stout push is getting ready to punch its way in as well. It is those snipers that need to be taken out. One of the things that you can do, yes, these snipers are invisible, yes, they are inside of radar jamming fields. However, those little pops that come out of the gun, those little explosions, they are visible regardless of whether or not you can see the unit, regardless of whether or not it is in a radar jammer or invisible. Manual target with AoE weapons. Get yourself a couple of Arbiters, get yourself a couple of any sort of long range. One of the best things that could possibly be put here is a tremor that will just shut down the entire entrance. But it does look like the peasants are continuing to keep this one out. Very little in the way of scaling happening. Actually, I'm wrong. One player continuing to scale, which is not necessarily the worst idea, provided that it's not going to fall. And it does look like they have held this one nicely again. And the Kings are going to have to find some other strategy, because that is not working anymore. The time for the T1 Stout in mass may be at an end. Oh dear! Massive explosion in the middle of the map. What caused that?
Top left has been pushing hard.
Top left getting in with just enough units, it looks like. Something got into the very middle, and managed to take out Platinum Blonde's eco in its entirety. I did not see what it was.
This is going to be from the bottom side, I think.
But that is a lot of damage being done, and it was done by so few units that even just a couple of defensive turrets in the middle could have made a huge difference right there. And if you look at the economies, though, there was not metal to spare. The peasants are keeping the Kings on the absolute ropes, and they're starting to push in on this right-hand side, though it is a T1 push of Centurions that are going to be running into the Jags. Centurions and Jags are actually reasonably equal in trade, because the Jag sacrifices a lot of its health in order for mobility and that anti-air attack. But all these Stouts are going to come in and do a lot of damage. But high ground, we do have the Sheldons and the Ambassadors starting to lay that fire down. So even if the T1 does go down, as long as that T2 army retreats before the Stouts push up the hill, it should be all good. Does look like a big T3 attack is coming to the bottom of the map. We do have the Titans as well as the Razorbacks pushing through a massive minefield, and they're pushing into Pitbulls. Pitbulls are very good against the T3 units. This is being backed up by a mega group of snipers. So this should be a absolute nightmare to defend. The tankiness of those T3 units in the front and the DPS of those snipers in the back. And all the units have been pulled away for defense elsewhere because they have seen those Stouts coming, which means that this attack, and this is one of the things you have to do, you have to put pressure in all places. This attack is going to cut the reinforcements off, which is going to give the Stouts the power they need to push on through. So we need to see the left-hand side divert their attention over to here and start killing off those snipers, start killing off that T3. Comms need to be turning invisible and getting in place to get those D-guns on, but unfortunately it is invisible, which means we might get it. Unfortunately, though, has been spotted, probably because of the construction vehicles carrying on. Major overkill. Again, not invisible early enough, was spotted and has been shot down.
The big base explosion earlier was a single tick getting hit by an ambassador. Is what popped all of that economy.
There you go. So one ambassador getting close enough, absolutely huge amount of damage. Similarly, just a couple of shots from that rattlesnake, whittling the snipers' numbers down basically by half, but the Stouts are in. The Stouts have re-cleared the area that they've taken, and now there is significantly less to defend because the area that was building those defensive units has been cleared out by that T3 and T2 push. So that means that this right-hand side, though they've fought incredibly well, is now at a point where they are going to start going down, I reckon. All the comms are falling one by one, the defenses are not there, and the units are not there at the moment. Left side continuing to pressure the Kings. Top side taking a lot of damage as well. And oh my god, Brother Gear's base. Multiple T3 labs, huge numbers of APHIS, conversion out of the wazoo, build power out of the wazoo, defenses out of the wazoo. This is a player to look out for. Hello? Is anybody there?
I'm 2
I'm
minutes
just on
behind.
catch up.
So
My game crashed ages ago, so...
Unfortunately for the Kings, the peasants have taken the opportunity that was afforded to them by that ambassador shot taking out the APHIS to push T1 into the base, and defense is just not there quite in time. And so this is another player. This is Rosie, who was cleared out partially before but managed to save their base through some very, very clever reclaim. Now being taken out a second time, and we do have an entrance available. So while the Kings are doing a great job of cleaning up the right-hand side, they are doing it at the cost
top right
of
on
losing
your screen. What
the
happened up
middle
there?
of the map.
I just saw another explosion for the Kings on your
Oh,
mini
that
map.
has indeed happened. So the Pulsars have managed to get in and get an APHIS that is on the front line. There is plenty of opportunity here for dealing a lot of damage because we have some very exposed fusion reactors. So Brother Gear is going to have to start defending even more of this area if they want to, and with the help of Small, if they want to keep their economy alive. But it does look like that has been pushed back nicely. So we do have the bottom right-hand side falling to the Kings, but we do have pushes in the bottom left and the top right from the Peasants, as well as a nice bit of damage that has been done on the top left-hand side as well. So the Kings are struggling, the Peasants are struggling, but economies are even, which means that I reckon this is probably going to be one of the closest games of Kings we've seen to date.
I hope you hit record, Prater, because ours is stuffed.
Not even a chance. Why would I hit record on what was going to be an All-Stars game in the middle of the map? That sounds like something I wouldn't do.
I really freaking hope that's sarcasm. I can never tell.
I'll tell you at the end of the match whether or not I am upset with myself or happy with myself. Either way, I'm actually happy with myself because I get to laugh about it, so... Alright, the bottom right-hand side, getting the last bits of it cleared up. We do have the defense force that held for so long finally being picked off by those snipers. And every second they can buy here is critical because we need to see more and more pushing into the middle of the map. We need to see more and more damage being done because with this area being cleared up, one of the things that is hard to quantify is just how much of a swing it's going to be once this corner is cleared up and one more king can start putting pressure onto the top right and the bottom left. That is going to be one of the biggest swings in the game, and it might mean that the win condition is the top left side Peasants. If the bottom left and top right have to move to more of a defensive to deal with the swing of the freed up kings, then there may only be one more viable avenue of attack. So we'll see exactly how that one goes. Razorbacks, though, trying to find their way into the King's base from the bottom left-hand side. And again, we are very sorry about the slight choppy nature of what is going on at the moment. There are some very minor issues with on the server side that are causing particularly us recording some minor distress at the moment. Those should be fixed up sooner rather than later. The devs are aware.
Good pressure out of both sides. The Kings are doing well to still exist at this point.
Well, normally a push like that would clean up the Kings.
Would be utterly catastrophic.
The truth is that if a push is capable of killing a king and going slightly deeper, it normally means that the push will succeed and kill off the entire set of kings. The Peasants only really have to win one decisive battle, whereas the Kings have to win many in order to win this one. And speaking of decisive battles, the Stouts are rolling once again. Does look like Duffy has decided the top right-hand side of the map is the way to go. 91 Stouts against 3 Razorbacks and some high ground Pitbulls and some high ground Pulsars. They're doing a very good job of defending. The numbers are being the tank numbers are being absolutely destroyed, but those Razorbacks are going down slowly but surely, and the tanks are getting little bits of damage deeper and deeper into the match. All players in the top right-hand side need to be getting their unit on, and they need to be getting ready for being the next point of attack, because they're about to go from being attacked by 2 kings to being attacked by 4, potentially 5 kings. So that's they now are on mission survive as long as possible so the rest of the map can win. But the rest of the map winning is going to be a tall order because the Kings have pushed slightly ahead in economy and they're getting their T3 roll on out with the Titans coming into the top left hand side. So the Kings are responding with everything that they need in order to make this one happen. But that bottom left is a huge threat to the Kings. T2 is coming out in massive numbers to defend this one, but it is just being sieged by snipers, it's being sieged by Sheldons, and there are attacks getting ready to push in. The T1 is giving good vision, and as long as the peasants play this one out in a decent manner, they should be able to punch in. But with the introduction of 28 vanguards, the situation down the bottom left-hand side might turn around in any moment.
That is a strong push up in that top right, isn't it? The big.
But the defenses are keeping pace. However, that one exposed APHIS could be the difference. It's going to come down to whether
those
these
Kargis going up through a different,
or if they kill the
attack
that
path.
Razorback needed to stay there, and it has not.
Yeah.
And I reckon that's going to be one of the tipping. I reckon that's going to change this corner from a hold into a loss very, very quickly.
It was going to go down anyway, but if it could buy that little bit more time, that's what you're looking for in that situation.
Now, something to bear in mind, unit cap is a real thing. Because there are so many players, it is spread out between all of them evenly. The Kings would be running into building cap issues as well as some of the more powerful peasants.
With one of the recent changes, that got updated as well, so the Kings have got a build cap of about 830 odd units. So
that is significant. That is a significant difference. So that means the peasants really do have to make the best of what they've got, because the Kings will no longer be completely restricted. We do have a large Marauder rush heading into the middle of the map. I reckon it might be a little bit too late for Marauders in the game. Those Vanguards are going to reap a horrific toll on those Marauders.
Would love to see more T1 spam in front of them to eat the shots.
But if they get in, they're going to do huge amounts of damage. Unfortunately, so many wrecks on the ground that they just cannot push in, and they have been pushed back. Unfortunately, that's a big metal expenditure that's going to result in actually nothing at all. However, it has stopped some of the defenses from making their way up to the top hand side, which at the top left hand side, which is trying the counter stout push. But there is, again, the Vanguard Mast is going to prevent a stout push from being overly effective, with the Razorbacks to clear up the last few and the Welders to act as bulk. So I think that the Kings have managed to defend enough that they're in a very good position here, and it's going to take some very spectacular play out of the peasants to turn this one back around.
Really impressed by the massive base out of Brother Gear. Slightly
right?
But like really knows how to scale. That's one of the biggest bases that we've seen for King of the Hill. And I'm surprised that none of it has broken yet.
Though.
Oh yeah,
that right, that left, all the conversions. I actually reckon that, that would be a complete base wipe if you hit any of it. I can see
if you hit any of it, I reckon the entire lot's going down, and a lot of it is in range of a single catapult on the high ground. It would be, or if not the entire thing, enough of it is that a couple of catapults, and I think that might be why. I think that might have been why we saw Duffy attack the top right instead of the bottom left, because that's one of the most vulnerable positions that they have, the fact that those APHIS are so exposed, and so clearing that high ground clears a potential threat.
But they are defending themselves with plenty of behemoths by the looks of things.
Here we go though, we do have a final attack, potentially a final attack coming out of the top right hand side. Marauders trying to race their way in. The question is, do they have the information player view? They do see one of the APHIS, so they do know where to go.
Well supported with T1.
All those Marauders have to do is be on a move command, not a fight command, and they will get there. There is not enough here to stop them, but they are not. Oh no, they've turned around. Oh, that's painful. And now
those
they're marching
away
from where they needed to go and into the bulwarks. All they have to do is get enough damage onto those APHIS in order to break through.
You click the player view, do they actually see the base?
They know that there's an APHIS there.
Ah, man.
APHIS build power.
Oh god!
The above.
A shot's made it into Brother Gear's base. Mass reaction.
Oh.
Doesn't look like everything's going down, but all the build power, all the conversion, and a couple of those APHIS left on 600 health. That's huge.
That
That's
is a
just swung
huge chain reaction.
That's just swung the economy from being about 10% in favor of the kings to 30% in favor of the peasants.
One of the more critical parts of that is there's no boot power to get it back up and running again.
This is where the rest of the team needs to start throwing down that conversion just to eat the power and get the metal back up as fast as possible. And the kings actually need, the peasants actually need to not attack down the lane like they are right now. There is no way that Watch Behind's units are going to get in. They need to understand that the defenses are no longer going to be coming from this player, and they need to attack in areas that they know that the kings are going to be vulnerable. Because right now they're in a bit of a tough position right now, because they cannot bring all of their firepower to bear in one position, which means that we're just not seeing that punch power. We're not seeing the ability to break those behemoths.
Is rather than those units being thrown into the middle to die to the defenses, maybe leave like a lab throwing units in just to keep the vision up, but pause most of them, say on a ramp or something, so that you can build them up to get a really nice big massive units. So then when you do decide that you're going to charge, you've got as much firepower as possible to punch in all at once.
Also, I'd love to see some res bots just added onto a lab, just eating all of this, just to get the corpses out, just to get the wrecks out of the way, so that there's an easier path through. But right now, even with all of that damage done to the kings are still very effectively bringing their firepower to bear. They are utilizing their big fist damage as compared to all of the tiny fingers that are the peasants. So it is going to be still rough for the peasants, even though they have claimed that economic lead. And as Brother Gear gets back into it, because he didn't lose most of his APHIS, there is a grand opportunity for the kings to really swing this one about again.
We just need to see all the behemoths go down to D-guns. D-guns are probably the most opportune thing to put the pressure on the top of the map. And there are still, I mean, how many commanders there? I can't really see on the screen.
There should be plenty. There are 20 comms. Oh no. I don't have the number of comms on it. There we go. 18 comms left for the peasants, which means they should be able to punch down those behemoths very quickly.
Means that they must have rezzed one at some point.
But they have to keep pushing down into these lanes if they want to get the win. There has to be a place that they can break in. For example, right now we're seeing massive amounts of attacks going on in front of the king's lanes. The reality is that the places the kings have cleared are basically defenseless. We're talking about a couple of LLTs. We're talking about 1 or 2 Scorpions. Sometimes it's well worth pushing well around the back and taking them out from there and just seeing what you can get done, because the kings cannot be everywhere. That's what I talk about
if you force
them having an absolute punch
to respond to the other side of the map, you will weaken wherever they have to pull the units from, or wherever they were planning on sending the units to instead.
And right now we're just having massive Vanguard duels on the bottom left-hand side. Whichever team gains the biggest advantage here, I reckon, is going to do very, very well. A lot of the welders have been cleared out for Pormont, which is going to be a big problem, because all of the Vanguard forces are now having to concentrate fire. Oh no, not the Titan! Nicely degunned. But there is just so much spam coming down here, and we need to be cleaning up those Vanguards.
And spam is a great counter to Vanguards.
Big Titan push heading in, finding the Karganeths, finding the Vanguards. Plenty of the ticks now getting into that Vanguard force as well. We just need to be continuing this pressure, continuing pushing on, pull back the weakened units, let them get the heal. You have plenty of economy to heal up those units with Lazarus and things along that ilk. Just do your best to keep massing that force, because army is only 20% in advantage of the kings, and because all the fighting is happening in the same places, it means most of the teams are bringing their armies to bear in the same locations, so there isn't really much of an advantage to any of the players. We are seeing, though, what could be a potentially game-ending push just here. We've got a whole series of Titans out of Oodles that are heading down towards the Aphis of Brother Gear. If one of these Aphis go off, I think we'll see a good enough chain reaction to detonate the weakened ones. So hopefully we'll see that one go, and then that'll be a nice clip. There we go. There we go. That's a lot of the energy down. That means that we now have a new clear lane, and those Titans may be able to punch towards the middle of the map. And look how dense that middle of the map is. All it's going to take is one of these converters going down, one of these large construction turrets going down, and that will be the end of the Kings. So there is mass vulnerability now, and again, the eco has swung in the peasants' favor just that little bit. And it also means that some of the APM out of the Kings has gone down. Titans just continuing to go in. They know what they need to do. They know the assignment. They're getting absolutely beamed to death. They're getting surround bonus to death, and they do not have the vision to be able to punch in. They're marked to go on the right way, but blocked by a wreckage. It doesn't look like that Titan is going to get in, unfortunately, for the peasants, because that could have been the hero Titan that won the game. But he did stop, he did retreat, which is not the right move. Still, Watch Behind is now clearing up a lot of what is up here. They're going to open more avenues and spread the Kings out, which is always a good thing. And on the bottom half of the map, just more and more sieging. It does look like the Kings are slowly but surely losing the Vanguard War, and that's mostly because of the spam giving them proper vision. So whereas the Kings on the inside have to be guessing if they want to manual fire, the peasants on the outside can just fire on what they see.
Still seeing a lot of marauders. I suppose there's a hope that there's going to be a lane to just rush up of.
And good thing that the Kings do have those marauders, because they are being used to defend and attack into these back lanes, which unfortunately just was not able to hit hard enough to do the damage. And it does look like a couple of Thors are here to clean up what is left of that bottom right hand side. Very, very tight game. It does look like Pormont has been overwhelmed by the spam at this point. The spam is slowly but surely tickling away at these Aphis, tickling away at the conversion, tickling away at the construction turrets. With any luck, they will get in, and it does look like a couple of rovers. Oh no! Shot from the Vanguard shot from the inside of the map has just taken out.
With that spam, you don't need to worry about doing the damage yourself. The collateral from the King's Vanguards will likely take out their own bases.
And that's another open lane. The Kings have too much to defend here. Rosie going down again. Third time that Rosie has been cleared this game. It has been an incredibly tough one, and what a fantastically even match this has been. The Kings have done so well, but the peasants are really starting to push in now. Still, look at that economy. The economy is equal-ish. Okay, maybe with Reclaim it was equal. The peasants are still ahead in economy just that little bit, and the army value is moderately equal as well. But the peasants are bringing it to bear more effectively. They've seen the Aphis in the bottom of the map. They are going for it. The Vanguards have fired on the T3 lab and taken it out. That is a detonation. That is the build power in the middle of the map and the conversion in the middle of the map. And the Aphis in the middle of the map. That's the chain reaction. That has just dropped the King's econ. Oh my god, the entire map. Every King felt that one. That is the biggest chain reaction I have ever seen.
Huge.
That just dropped the King's economy by 4,000 metal per second.
Oh, that went all the way around.
It went all the way around. A couple of Aphis surviving on just a couple of percent in the top left-hand side. That is going to be all she wrote for the Kings. They're going to do a little bit of final defending, but with an economy stripped down to 1,000 metal versus the 7,000 of the peasants. The peasants are going to absolutely overwhelm now, especially with that 75% army bonus. What a well-played and consistent pressure out of the peasants game this has been, but also what a phenomenal game this has been out of the Kings. That incredible offense on the right-hand side, the power plays in the top and the bottom, the near push-outs on the left-hand side, and then the defense against just sheer overwhelming numbers. What this has probably been one of my favorite Kings games to date.
And my first one ever that crashed.
And now to reveal the secret truth, Twig, do you think I recorded this game?
I think you did.
I didn't.
Oh, God.
That's what I was expecting the answer to be.
So, as it turns out, ladies and gentlemen, we are most likely going to have to do this replay again. Which, to be honest, I don't mind watching this one a second time. I want to see that arbiter. I want to see that shot that killed off the eco here. That was such a phenomenally strong thing to happen for the peasants, and I want to see a few of the other points through the map again. That stout push, I actually think that stout push was incredibly strong, and that defense that happened was only a shoestring.
The peasants have done a good job of overwhelming, but it was very touch and go for a while there. It was great to see the Kings getting out again and starting to really roll around that top edge.
So many games we've seen like a quarter of the map fall, but it's almost perfectly 50% of it died for the peasants.
And this bottom right hand side that was left with just a tiny bit is pushing in as well. They were about to become a threat as well. So nicely defended against those Thors, and just another pain point that could have been brought onto the Kings. But man, what an absolute incredible play this one has been out of everyone involved. And now, just so we get the reaction live for everybody, Twig, just to relieve you, yes, I did record this one.
Oh, fuck yeah. I do not have the time to go back and cast this, especially with the current slow server speeds. It's
and Christmas.
Yeah. Oh god, it's such a busy time of year. I'm
There
a
we
bit
go,
of an introvert as well. I've just been too many events on at the moment. It's just so draining.
And with
time.
the last com has been found, it does look like Rovers are going to be the units that take out the last com in the game. Brother Gear, I hope we see more of Brother Gear in this, because if we do, we're going to have to change the balance, because he was that good this game. Alright,
well played.
ladies and gentlemen, that was an absolute phenomenal game, and I just pressed leave instead of show graphs, so that's not the smartest thing to do. Twig, do you mind just jumping into those graphs and grabbing a recorded clip, and I'll just voice over that.
When I catch up in like 3 years.
Okay, maybe not. I will set it up and finish this recording myself. So for everyone watching live, this is an Easter egg. For everyone watching the video, I will do a bit of a sneaky edit.
And yeah, make sure you jump on our YouTube 1 week from now. It will be up and live at around this time in 1 week.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, looks like we're going to be moving the stream over to Twig and Tank Tom as I move out for the night, and Twig is going to take care of you all for the last game of the night. Hopefully it can be as exciting as this one. We shall see. So Nightmare, if possible, please set up that raid.
Yeah, and I will kick it off. I probably won't last to the end, that last one, even though it was only about 40 minutes of game time. It was over
It took an hour
12.
and an hour and 10 minutes.
Cannot wait for these servers to be tightened up a little.
Probably help you get this next one started, but I'm gonna call it a night and jump on out because I cannot keep up for these games at the moment.
I'm glad you didn't tap out. You did a very, very good job. XIX.
Alright. Leave battle.
I'll take some of that popcorn too, if possible. I love popcorn, especially cinema popcorn. There's something different about cinema popcorn, right? Sorry, Stuart, but yes, there is. There is one game that you will have time to join us for. So, unfortunately, we are Australians, which means that we don't sync up with a lot of the time zones.
Yeah, that popcorn will be a midnight
But
snack
hey,
at the moment.
if you can gather us enough of a following that we can afford to move to the US, then we'll do it on US time.
If I can get a boss as well, I'll help set up the lobby.
Yes, I'll get you a boss. You can have a boss. You get a boss. And you get a boss. Everybody gets a boss. I'm not allowed to boss people.
Yeah, we can't
Oh,
boss you in the
that's-
event stuff.
There you go, nightmares there.
There we go. There is the raid to the AllReasonNoLogic stream. So I'm going to leave you in the very capable hands of Twig. Twig is easily the best of us, and without me being there to talk over everyone, you might actually hear his beautiful voice.
I'm definitely logging out partway through this one, especially with the slow speeds. But I don't know. Am I better at you guys than you guys at bar? I don't reckon I am that much better, if at all. We do host, or not host, but play together and release videos for our Wednesday content, where the three of us are trying to make our way to 30 OS. And yeah, check them out. Released every Wednesday.
I'll try to keep I'll try and keep my nomenclature a bit better if I move to the US, Psycho. You can educate me on the ways of video game acronyms.
That's probably from that stream we
All
did.
right,
the
ladies
other
and
night.
gentlemen, I'll leave you with Twig, and thanks for listening to me tonight, and I hope you've enjoyed all of those games. That last one was particularly specky.
Okay, I almost want to recast that. I think I will rewatch it. I want to find out what did that huge explosion. I missed it even on the replay as well.
It was a tick that got into the base that was hit by a King's Ambassador, which popped all the left stuff. The peasants managed to pop a bunch of the eco across the top, and I think it was friendly fire again for a bunch of the other stuff.
Gotcha. If anyone else wants to jump down as a king, please do so now. We need 9 down there. We've got 5. Who was it that just joined the game? I'd love to see them down there as well. And I'm opening this up to anyone that's been king or not been king. Go for gold.
I reckon we'll keep the bonuses where they were, because we've got less peasants
Yeah, I agree.
and less firepower.
And when I do finish this one up, we will go over and raid 2 Pumps, who will host an after party for this evening, this morning, this whatever time it is you're in. Okay, 3 more, 3 more, 3 more. Step right down. Anyone can be a king. There you go, Scarf. You're a king.
Did you want to turn Legion on for this last one?
Sure. Hey, if you want extra units too, go for it. Alright, we got 10 now. We got 2 more down, 2 more down there. There we go. 9. Leave it at that. Whoever's there, stay there. No one else join. Done. Piece of bread. Piece of bread, my arse nemesis in free-for-alls. On Wednesdays we finish off with free-for-alls, and it seems to always be me and him left over, and I keep getting killed. Piece of bread asking, don't rush me for 15 minutes, I just woke up. I encourage it. Go there at 9. You just might get a little bit hot through the lava. We got those extra units turned on. The Legion's on now.
Yeah, Legion's on. IDs are looking good.
And we can probably kick this one off. Up to almost 40. Unfortunately, one extra move down south. We need to keep it just at the 9.
That barb needs to go.
Junji, whatever your name is, please remove that bar or else she'll be removed.
There we go, that fixes it.
Did we just lose a king? I think we lost a king.
Yes, we did.
All right, Paulmont, where are you? I know you were wanting to jump down. Tim is unlocked if you want to jump down there, mate. There we go. Now I reckon we can get that one kicked off. We've got 44 players easily enough.
It's back in spell.
I would stick around for the whole game as well, but just definitely feeling the Greek wedding drinks
We
from
have
last night.
IDs.
I'm seeing a 16, 2 16s. So Potato, if you rename Potato to something over 70. And there's 2 5s. I might redo that one. Bear with us, people. Just got to check these IDs out. If you see any numbers that are double up, let us know. Thanks for following, Cryptic Junkie. We do appreciate it. And if anyone else wants to hit that follow, we're here every week. Also doing a lot of streaming of small team games and large team games during the week. Often playing with Grumpiness, 2 pumps. I'm not seeing any. We will need more of a bonus. We're seeing more and more players join. We'll do that
Yeah,
once
we'll-
I'll start doing that. It just needs to stop messing around.
75s on the bonus.
Yeah. 75 was a very sweet spot for last week. You can get the AFS up easily with 75 with Pormont's build order. If you're wondering for a build order, either go Pormont's replays, or I've got one where you only get a couple of fusions, but you get a lot more units and defenses up, and then I scale a lot harder once I know my lane's safe. Just download those from the bar website. Right, surely we've got things ready to go now. Give a ring, then we're going to spec some players. They've got those big Z's next to their name.
Got another.
$57 versus 9. It's going to be a big one.
There you go. Should have started, shouldn't it?
Thanks for the follow, Jeffsus 007. If there's anyone in here that hasn't joined our Discord for King of the Hill, it's where the community gathers. A lot of team players will jump in the same voice channels as each other, so you can coordinate those commie ecos. If you just look for AllReasonNoLogic on our YouTube, there are plenty of links. Every video's got a link to our Discord, actually. I reckon we could just probably paste it in here as well.
That is what I'm just about to do once it works. I'm gonna call it a night and head off to bed as well.
No worries. Thank Dom. I'm gonna watch
Leave
the
you
first
to
little
it.
bit of this, and then I'm probably gonna raid over to 2 pumps.
Thanks for joining, everyone, and I will catch you all next time.